I hate that trophy.
Huh?
Nothing. Is this the
And
information?
I talked to Colette, and she said you're the one that takes it in to get engraved and
Yeah,
everything.
they
So
kind of flipped that one up, so I'll
So-
fix that.
I put the information right there to,
So they beat us on that
the
one?
young guys did.
And that one was close? Look at
And
that.
then, yeah, and then we beat them in the last inning.
Okay,
And so,
I'll fix that.
Dennis, was this in the old timers game? We beat them?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
They lost pretty bad on the
well,
unders.
and that's the first time I don't know if you're gonna copy that, but that's the last year's, and
Well, that's, it should all be here,
yeah, that should be.
cause that's what's his bucket gave
Anyway,
it to me.
yeah, the young guys, that's the first time they've lost in the 6
They're
years.
losing their,
2021, does that have it on there?
it's 2021.
See, I don't have the young guys on 2021 because
That was
maybe they
before
didn't
it was
play.
my time. Maybe.
They didn't play that time, and then
Hey,
they
Jen.
started the young guys and the old guys. And Plain City's won every year but this year.
How are you? Good. Okay, so I've done a little bit more thinking. And I think we change it to I almost wore a shirt that said girls with guns. Freedom, and I thought,
Do you need this or is this mine?
No, you can have it, and then I'll just leave that, you can do what you do.
Actually, listen, I was just gonna say, let's leave it.
not at all.
Perfect.
No, but I have a question for you.
I am
Yeah.
They're gonna have
Out in the sun,
Heck of a
training,
time.
shooting.
always outside.
that driveway. Do you think we could cut an approach out on 3600 so we can? That's right. I drove by today for the first time in like 2 years. Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, that's what it is, construction.
We were just waiting to see if we had adopted it, and we did pass it last year. It's just
Everything, okay. Just like going, hey, I was gonna take your seat. How are you?
What's this?
Will you give that to her? Those are your books that I got, so she can put them in the time capsule. Like you said, I was gonna be upset about the tree.
because they did not acknowledge that.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. So good, how are you, man?
Oh, wait, the tractor was there. Yeah, because you know, we had to block people that would turn on that road, and when there was snow, slid, poof. I was like, okay. So no, it looks good. It looks like it's coming along well.
It is.
Okay. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I haven't seen you forever.
I know.
They really want.
Super late today, really.
So did I. But I made a home change and came here.
I changed, ran here. I was so
Good to see you today, for sure.
Is it hot enough?
Yeah. Plus some.
Just glad I'm not hauling hay.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. I'll try not to get them wet. I didn't. They were closed, but I will get to them. Yeah. But I will get to them.
Well, if I get over there before you, I'll let you know. If I could remember, I drive by there an awful lot. Okay, tell me what I'm looking for.
Stacy. It's cute. So I have an open water. Be careful.
Bring it at your own risk. See, I got this.
I got warranty. So
Break a toe or something?
Is Olivia related to you?
Is it there? This time. Oh, man. There. Welcome to our Plain City Council meeting held here today, Thursday, the 16th of July. I'd like to welcome everyone here in person and those online. We will go ahead and get started here. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance offered to us by Councilman Jenkins. And afterwards, we'll have a moment of silence or prayer, thought by Councilmember Bill. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're just going to have a moment of silence, let everyone gather their thoughts before we begin. Okay, thank you, everyone.
All right. First of all, let's go to approval of our minutes. Everybody had a chance to review those?
Yes, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary unless anybody else has any other comments.
No, I'll second that.
Yeah, so I guess I'll make the motion to approve minutes from our meeting, and that would have been, the 18th of June?
Yep.
2026, right? Okay.
There was work meeting minutes and regular meeting.
Okay, yes.
We have a second?
Yes.
We do? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Before we get to the public comments, I wanted to just make a statement as the mayor. We just had a big event here, Plain City, 4th of July. I don't know how many of you were able to attend that, but it was just a great, need to sign this?
Please.
You're good. It was a great event, and, you know, I did send out a letter on our public website and elsewhere, but I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone that had anything to do with our 4th of July celebration. I listed them all. I won't go through the whole thing again, but there are a few people I wanted to certainly highlight. Colette Doxey, who's really over the celebration, her family, all of her workers did a tremendous job. They had just a huge responsibility to see this thing through, and there's just so much involved. Dan Schuler, his team, excellent job, always there on the spot, and we appreciate that. That includes the garbage and everything else that's associated with events like this. Diane couldn't ask for a better partner on this. She and her staff just did a great job, and she had the responsibility to keep our entertainer happy and feed them and pick them up in cars and go greet them. Just a lot of work, and appreciate. Yeah, she didn't complain too much, but it still took a lot of time. But we had a lot of sponsors across the board. We had parade leaders, we had performers, vendors. Our fire chief, Dennis Creasy, is not here, but you know, firefighters were out at all the times when we had fireworks going on. Of course, the mayor had this ban on public fireworks, and we chose as a city. Huh?
Governor.
The governor, yeah, sorry, not the mayor. Governor had the ban on public fireworks, and so we did designate, which we were authorized to do, a couple locations, and we didn't have any instance, and it was great. A lot of it was due to the fire department's presence, and so there's just a lot of people to thank, including the council here, Adam and his wife for hosting the parade, or the float that we did on the parade. It was spectacular. Let's see you top it next year, but
I'll see what she can do.
I'm sure I missed someone, but it's great to live in a city like Plain City where people donate their time and want to be a part of something great. And so again, thank you to all the citizens of Plain City that supported us, helped us in any way, and all of you that supported us as well. It was very much appreciated.
I second that.
Okay. All right, in conjunction with this, I have asked Dennis Hadley, he tried to just give this trophy to me, and I said, no, it's not that easy. You're gonna have to come to the council meeting and present it formally, so we can get pictures and you can say a couple of words about it. Is that okay? Yeah. So come on up. Rachel, you gonna give some pictures?
How'd you know?
Yeah, let's just hear you say a couple words. Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, first of all, I echo everything the mayor has said about Plain City and Fort. I probably participated in 70 of those along the way because I've lived down here. And I appreciate everything that's been done and all the people who put that together this year. It was truly amazing. I think every year it's the best we've ever had.
Yeah.
And at the culmination of that, before the fireworks, there's a little bit of other fireworks that takes place, and that's on the softball field. If anybody remembers about that softball diamond out there, we had a concession stand there, and we went out there, and that's where we had dinner in the evenings when we played softball in Plain City. And that's since been gone, but we still have a little softball once in a while, and so Blossom Angus comes out and invites us to play against them, and so the young guys play earlier, and they've won the last 4 years prior to this year, and this year they got beat for the first time. And then the old timers, I call them, they call it on here seniors over 60, but I call it old timers. The mayor's played in this game before, and so he knows what it's all about. And I know Jan's dad played in this game before. I've watched him many times playing that game, and I guess that's why the tradition still
It used to be a
exists.
big, huge thing.
As an old timer, I feel like I want to keep that tradition going. So with that note, Plain City played Blossom Angus in that game, and with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th inning with the bases loaded, Chris Wicks got a bloop single and drove in the winning run, and we beat Blossom Angus 12-11 for the second time in a row. 6 years we played now, we've evened up the series of 3 games each for the old timers. So we did win that year, and so I'd like to present this to our mayor and thank him for continuing the tradition and doing that. And I know it'll be in good hands, and I know Diane gets it engraved every year. It's actually the Blossom Angus Founders Cup that they have that, and we appreciate all the people that put that together. So with that, I want to present that to you.
Great.
Usually is.
Yeah, usually is, right?
Bloop single over first base too to keep the inning going.
Still playing hard.
Picture. I like that.
All right, let's move on here to the public comments. We're going to open it up to public comments now. Please come up. We give you 3 minutes apiece to state any business that you'd like. Tell us your name, and make sure you let us know if you're a resident of Plain City as well. So we'll open it up right now. Okay, I think we're good with public comments. Let's go to our report from the Planning Commission. We have Mac McBride from our Planning Commission with us.
Mayor, if I may, I believe there was a public comment submitted by email to the City Council.
Oh, shoot.
Oh,
We
yeah,
could just
that
make a
was-
record of that and then move on.
You think about this one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that we did get a letter from CoWest that kind of outlined their thoughts on some of the action that we're going to be looking at tonight. suspend new overlays and rezone applications. And so that is part of the public record. It will be there, and we'll make sure that is part of the process. Okay?
Good evening. Planning Commission meeting last week. We had a couple of public hearings, one on Chapter 9, the Development Agreement Ordinance. We decided to table that because we were waiting. We had another comment that we wanted to wait from Dan before we finish that one up. So we had the public hearing, and then we tabled the change. We had another public hearing on whether or not to suspend overlays and rezones until the general plan was finished. Craig Jackson made a comment on that. And then we voted to recommend to suspend the overlays and rezones. We also set a public hearing to amend Chapter 8, the regulations, all applicable zones for livestock and fowl. That's going to be held on August 13th. And we had a discussion about detached accessory dwelling units. We discussed some changes with the setbacks and got that worked out, and then we recommended to you to approve that amendment. Then we had a discussion on the Wasatch Peaks Credit Union sign application. We had quite a discussion on that and came to the conclusion that the sign, as it was submitted, doesn't meet our ordinance because that's a shopping center and it's only allowed one standing sign according to our ordinance. And anyway, so we ended up recommending to deny it, or no, we denied it, but then we understood their concerns, and so they're obviously going to come here, and we told them to come talk to you guys about what kind of redress they might be able to do with that sign. And that was it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Okay, let's move to a discussion motion, final acceptance of Diamond D Phase 2. Should be in your packet. I know that Brad Jensen, our civil engineer, outlined that, and Dan. Dan, anything you want to say about that?
No, we just have a couple of closeouts tonight. First one's going to be the Diamond D Phase 2 up there off 2600 north, and nice little addition to the subdivision. But yeah, it ended up going into conditional here last year, and so it went through the year just fine. There was a couple of pieces of sidewalk that we were waiting on. The very end house was, they were dragging their feet on getting the sidewalk put back in. I said, once it's in, then we'll be able to close it. So,
Okay.
yeah, everything's completed. Everything's holding up good.
Okay. Any further discussion on this?
Nope. I move to approve the final acceptance for Diamond D Phase 2 subdivision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one. That would be the discussion motion, final acceptance of Palmer Heritage. What can you tell us about that, Dan?
That one is also ready for final acceptance. We did end up getting the items from the punch list back in '25 completed finally with the inlet off of 2600. And like I said, but looking at watching it for the year, we had a couple little settling spots, but they haven't gotten any worse. And I think it was just right around the collar of the sewer manhole. But other than that, yeah, everything's checked out good. We re-cambered the sewer system just to make sure everything was good with it. And yeah, everything checks out.
What about the 7,866 treatment of
Yes, that is
asphalt
for the
surface?
surface treatment that was done.
It's done?
Last year, yeah, it has been completed, and Mr. Reese said that just go ahead and take that out of the 10% escrow, so before it gets released to him, so.
Is that why it says plus the 10% contingency at the bottom of the memo? At the bottom of your memo, you've got the final acceptance request, and then use like, I'm wondering why there was that 10% contingency. And it's not on,
Out of the 10% contingency monies, that's where we'll end
that's
up.
gonna come
That's
up.
what get released, yeah.
Okay,
But
got it.
he wants to just take the 7866 out of the escrow account then, right?
Yes.
So we should probably make that a part of the motion?
We can do that part of the motion at that point, but yeah.
To make sure that we're covered, that the escrow release, we'd get the escrow release first, right?
Well,
Of the
that's
seven-
what I guess I need from you. Do you want me to do an escrow release that money to the city? We have that money and then release their escrow? Or do you want me to release all of it, hoping that the
No.
bank will really pay us?
No,
No.
the first one.
Yeah, first one.
So we just need to make that as part of the motion. That we get
Get that money first.
Yeah, so part of the motion would be a release of the 7,866 to the city on the escrow. And then once that money's received, then the rest of the escrow money could be,
Okay. So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Diane, does that work?
Yes.
Okay. I agree.
We know what's going on.
So moved. She knows.
Yep, she knows.
Does that work? I said so moved, or do you need to make, okay.
Okay.
Aye. Good enough. Okay.
All right.
Second here.
Brings us to discussion, motion on final acceptance of the Skeen subdivision.
Okay, on the Steen subdivision, they have been in conditional for a little bit now. We've been waiting for the project to start before we would release anything off of 3600, just in case something happened to the project, and then that way, at least the developer's got the money in there in the escrow account. Now the project's up and moving forward. At that point, we can go ahead and do the final acceptance on it, and at the same time to request out of the escrow monies, the $6,204 for the street lighting to reimburse the city for paying for that.
So I would recommend we do the same process.
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve for final acceptance the Skeen subdivision, also noting that, that we hold back that $6,204.
Four.
And $4. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I missed the Palmer Heritage final, sir.
He's going back.
You know me, you should know that I missed, so I need you to speak up, so. Discussion motion on the final acceptance of Palmer Heritage.
Which was, I made a motion, she seconded, we just have to vote for it, right? Or was that for the Palmer? Because I think we're mixing them up here.
Because we did, I thought that was the one that we were holding out the 7,800.
Yeah, that was the Palmer Heritage.
We voted.
Yeah, that was Palmer, so I didn't miss it.
Oh, you did?
No, you
No.
did.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
3 for 3.
All right, thank you. All right,
Yeah, good catch.
okay, we're on to the next item, which is a discussion motion on the ordinance to suspend new overlays and rezone applications. This is the one that the Planning Commission reviewed and approved and sent forward to us with the, for approval, so.
I have a point of clarification on this. Diane, does this include anything that has been brought to us as of today? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, from here on, in process are still good? Okay.
So we did meet earlier on this, and I know Brandon weighed in on this a little bit, and Brandon, I don't know if you want to make a comment now, but basically, as I understand it, well, I'm just going to let you go ahead and, okay.
Yeah, happy to, Mayor. This ordinance was drafted by me. The Planning Commission, I believe, didn't actually have a drafted ordinance, but they had made a decision, if that's correct, to suspend the rezones and overlays. So I drafted the ordinance in conformance with that recommendation. With this draft comes an exception, which is number 2, that this suspension does not apply to applications that were completed prior to the date that the ordinance was passed. So the
Anything,
vesting rights that already exist in people who've already completed applications for rezones and have paid the fee, this ordinance cannot legally apply to them anyway, so it's
Right.
just recognizing that vesting right. It does only apply to rezone and overlay zone applications. This is something that some might call a moratorium. It has, however, followed the legislative process. It's gone through public hearing, it's gone through the Planning Commission, and is now recommended to the City Council. So it's my opinion that this is not one of those emergency moratoriums. It's actually a legislative action. So there's no 180-day, so you may be familiar with moratoriums. They have a 180-day kind of lifespan. Because of the emergency nature of them, city councils can act on a moratorium without consideration with the Planning Commission, without public hearings, and that's why it allows for this temporary 180-day regulation. But this has actually gone through that legislative process, and so it expands until the general plan has been updated. That process has been completed. Mayor, did you want me to bring up anything else as far
I
as?
think you've covered that enough, yeah.
Entertain any other.
Any other discussion?
The only other thing, I like putting a time frame on it personally, just because opening it up forever. We want to get this general plan process done. We want to get this all wrapped up as soon as we can for good reason, right? We've talked about it in our other meetings. So I would recommend adding the 6 months to it. And then I don't know if there's anything else.
I think that's it. And can we approve this and with language that we add the 6 month to this agreement?
You can, but you would have to make a finding today that meets code, so the ordinance doesn't make that finding specifically. There has to be let me make sure I get it, word it exactly. Finding of compelling countervailing public interest for the emergency moratorium. We want to kind of err on that 180-day timeline and have it be, I guess, more in conformance with that, saying this is just temporary in nature for 6 months. You just make a finding of a compelling countervailing public interest, such as we're nearing the end of completing a general plan amendment. We have a giant highway coming through the city. There's unprecedented growth, and we have to be able to respond to that first before we start making decisions to rezone. So that's something you could make a finding of. You're welcome to adopt it. Again, it's.
So, I mean, that's one route we could go, or you think we're in okay position to approve it as is?
Yes,
Yes.
because it has gone through the Planning Commission with public hearings, and it's essentially a legislative action, not an emergency temporary
Yeah.
action. So it's up to the City Council how you'd like me to frame this ordinance. I'm happy to rewrite it. I would recommend, though, that if you're going to make changes, that you allow me the chance to make the change before
before we do it.
Just, there's a lot of gray area there where I might make a mistake with my draft versus what the City Council intends.
Yeah.
If you were to approve it today and then I write it later. So that's just my only caution, is if you want to make any changes to it, just to make sure that I draft it the way you really intend to and that it's voted on, you table it and allow me to make those changes.
And
So-
again, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, per my comment, how long can this be in place for?
How it's drafted. So this one could be in place for, there is no statutory time frame. There is some caution where it can't be broad sweeping and last forever.
Right.
There's some case law where rezone suspensions have been upheld in other states, but just against a constitutional claim for up to 2 years. And so I don't think we're gonna need that long, so it's not really an issue on my end that the general plan is gonna take 2 years to be updated. I don't think anybody in the city has expressed that they wanna take that long. So I just haven't put a deadline on it.
And again, this only applies to suspended, new overlays and rezones, that's it.
Right.
So, yeah.
That haven't already been applied correctly.
Yes.
Yep.
I think it needs a time frame personally, but
Yeah, I think so too.
that's the case, for me, I'd like to make a motion to suspend it and have Brandon add that language to the ordinance and bring it back to us later, I guess, at the next meeting.
Motion?
And you want to do 6 months?
I mean,
180
that's what I'm
days.
saying, 180 days, but I guess I'd be open to whatever. But 180 seems fair because it's consistent with the other.
How confident are we that we can finish the general plan? 6 months. That's my question.
Where's Mike?
He's in the
That's
back.
my-
He's in the back
That's
waving.
my concern.
Mike, do you want to go on the record on that?
It's like, I know, did you see him? I don't know where he went.
That's my concern.
To be fair to Mike, it isn't just Mike, it's,
Right,
No,
it's everybody.
absolutely.
I know.
Absolutely. So I do worry about that, putting a time, frame on it. And then what do we do then if we're not finished with the general plan? Then go back and
Well, we
do it
can-
again and have to
Not
do the whole
exceed
process
1
again?
year.
yeah.
So I can't second that. I would have, if you beat me to it, I would have made a motion to pass as is. Or motion to approve as is. So I
We
don't
got a
know what
motion on
you
the
guys are
table. Do
thinking.
we have a second?
I want a
No.
time frame as well, but I'd say maybe not to exceed 1 year. I'd say that'd be more than adequate, and it still gives a deadline.
Don't you have to amend some of it anyway?
If you want to put a specific time frame on there,
You will have to fix it.
come up with another draft to present to the city council for approval. So, oh, is it catching me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, as it's drafted, it's more of a trigger. It's not a time frame, but a condition, which is the completion of the updated general plan. If you want it to have a specific time frame, I would recommend that I be allowed the time to draft it in that way. There's also maybe some concerns from others who may have different legal opinions, landowners perhaps, that this should be considered an emergency moratorium and we should couch it in that particular area of law. That would be a more conservative approach. It would reduce the number of, I guess you could say, threatened litigations or people who may have an issue with the city. So putting that 180-day time frame would also make me have to write some additional findings. So that's why I'm saying it's either, if you approve it as it is today, it's ready to go. But if you want to make any adjustments to the time frames, I'll need the time to draft it accordingly.
Yeah, and we already had, we already had that, before we went through the legislative process and going through the planning commission, we already had that 180 days anyways as an emergency moratorium.
Right.
So why are we, cutting ourselves short possibly by just setting it at 180 days by going through the legislative process anyways?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to whatever. I'm with Rachel, just so it's not too long because
It's not open-ended.
3 years, that ain't gonna stick.
No.
It isn't gonna stick.
And I agree with you, but I would also make the point that nobody up here, Mike, nobody wants to run our general plan out that 2-3 years anyways. I mean, I think we're all invested in getting the process finished, and moving on as quickly as possible. I mean, members of the planning commission are all nodding their heads yes right now. So I think this is something we want to hurry up and get finished anyways.
Is there a case law that says how long we can or can't push it out to?
Only if we take the emergency moratorium route. Is there statute that says it has to be 180 days, but that only applies when we don't follow the legislative process. And we just make an emergency ordinance today without going through public hearings and the planning commission. If we just go through the legislative process and have the planning commission provide a recommendation, the time frame isn't really set in stone. It has more to do with, are we gonna make this forever? And if it is, there's possibly a takings claim there.
Yeah.
Right.
For freezing someone's property for forever, versus being able to kind of articulate a more reasonable amount of time, a reasonably debatable amount of time to kind of freeze not development, but rezones. That's why I think there's case law out there that allows for up to 2 years that I've seen. Again, that's why I'm not really saying let's set a specific time frame, because I don't think the general plan update is going to take longer than that. That's why I think we're kind of in sound footing to just continue as it's written today. But I'm happy to make whatever adjustments are more comfortable for the city council.
With no number.
Well, he made a motion.
Made a motion, so you guys decide.
Well, I saw someone sink down in his chair with the 180 days, so,
Well, and right now, we can't set the days, right? Your motion was to table it. Was that correct? Yeah.
And
'cause
then-
No, he said deny.
Well, would Ann have a time period?
Oh, yeah, but we'd have to table it for him to draft that.
Draft it.
Correct.
So
so are we
the
discussing?
point is, we're either gonna accept,
Accept it or
approve
table.
tonight as is, or table it until Brandon can redraft it.
You can make a decision today without approving the ordinance to amend the ordinance draft. And, I mean, you're kind of doing.
Two things.
Yeah, you're approving the ordinance without approving the ordinance, but just give me direction by motion of what you want to do, and then I'll bring that to you as a formal ordinance next time, and you can vote on it as an ordinance next time. I just don't have it agendized as that. It hasn't been really drafted that way. So that's why I'm saying if you have the decision today on the changes you want to make, you can make a motion on those changes, but then I'll present it as a final draft next time, and that will be the vote for the passing of the ordinance.
Tabling it, but we need to give them a number. So how long do you think, if we all work well together, the general plan would take?
When was the original scheduled finish date of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
We're all waiting for you to say, do you want us to come up here? Yes.
Really good-looking guy. Sorry, Mike Hansen, Hansen Planning Group, consultant for the general plan and the code update. That's one of the things I was hoping to talk about tonight when we have an opportunity to talk in the work session. I think the original vision was try to get the general plan done by calendar year with the code update 2 months after that, or so. You know, it just depends on how big the issues go. Our team can go, we can do calendar year for sure. I just need to make sure that the planning commission can keep up with that and that I have an opportunity to get in front of the public again. We had some really good public input. I want to be able to, write that in plan language and then give it back to the public and make sure we heard them correctly. So, not impossible. It's just, we just need both our team and the city team to probably speed it up. So, it's doable, for sure.
So are you thinking, instead of saying 180 days, we say March 1st?
I don't know. Picking a day is troubling if you have a planning commission that doesn't have a quorum, for example, because,
Right. Right.
So I kind of liked the language that I've heard so far where it says the milestone. In other words, the plan is
Plan is
done.
done.
Done could be defined maybe a little tighter, like gone through the public hearing at the planning commission level or whatever. We could do that, but yeah.
I think we're motivated to get it done, and
Yeah.
if we just stick with
Absolutely.
the general plan completion, should satisfy it.
I agree.
I agree.
Absolutely.
But we do have a motion, don't we?
We do have a motion, but nobody has seconded.
We have a second?
Nope.
What exactly is the motion, 180 days?
No, it was to.
No.
It's to table it.
Table it.
Table it.
I'll second that motion to table it.
Okay, we've got a second. All in favor? I guess we better do a roll call? Well,
Of course I will, yes.
Yes?
No.
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 motion fails to pass.
All right, I will make a motion to approve this ordinance, suspend new overlays and rezones applications until general plan completion as discussed, as
Written.
drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay for me, only because of the reasons I just talked about.
No for me.
Okay, we've got that down. All right, thank you very much.
Do we need a number?
Oh, yeah, ordinance. -09.
Okay, let's move into the approval of our business licenses.
Oh, that went faster than.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
No, I'll approve the business licenses as presented to the city council here today on July 16th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to approve our warrant register. We've got 3 different registers here.
For the 4th.
In the new fiscal year.
Do we need to break these down in motion or just approval? Okay,
Yeah, we
we'll
can
combine.
combine them all.
I will say the Weber County Sheriff's Office came in under the budget that they'd proposed to us, so that's good news. And that's our last payment, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Dan, I got a question. On here is sodium bisulfate. Is that a chemical that we've always been dosing out there at the lagoons? Okay, no change there.
So that's what we do, strip the chlorine out.
Yeah. Before it goes out? Okay, yep. All right, unless there's, oh, go ahead.
Diane, was a check written for Mason's Bench? Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I move to approve the warrant register for the time period of 6/17 to 6/30, as well, that's June 17th, June 30th, as well as July 1st through July 14th, as well as July 14th through the 15th.
Second.
All in favor? Let's do roll call.
Yes.
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 Passes. Thank you. Okay, reports from council. Let's start with Luigi. Anything
I have
to report?
nothing to report. I'm sorry I missed the last couple meetings. I've been crazy busy, so I'm sorry. And I'm sorry I missed all of the 4th of July.
Yeah.
You were
Well,
at the concert, I saw you.
I was there, but on the 4th, I was not here for anything.
Every year. Riverdale needs you.
I've heard great things. And everybody enjoyed everything except for me, so.
Okay. Well, somebody's got to protect the safety of people. Thank you. All right, Jan.
Since the 4th of July, I have actually been to 2 other festivals, and they sure could take a lesson from Plain City. So, yes, way to go,
We're not going to
Colette.
mention publicly those cities, are we? Okay.
Nope. Well, you beat a whole bunch of cities in Washington, too, so.
Excellent, okay. Let's go ahead, Jed.
This week, I was able to attend the mosquito abatement board meeting. You know, it's interesting. Obviously, everybody knows this is one of the driest years on record. Plain City, as always, wins for the amount of calls to mosquito abatement. And every time we go through the numbers, this, you know, being the first week of July, or second week now, but for the meeting was the first meeting in July. And the new year, it's, we go through the budget, and, you know, it's a budgetary meeting, but it's always interesting, everybody's comments when we go through all the numbers, and it shows Plain City is always number 1 on calls and requests, and, you know, everything that they send out in the air and everything else. So anyways, mosquito abatement is taking care of Weber County well, so that's all I have to report.
Councilman Bill.
I had a meeting with Nicole from the Western Weber CTC. They've got a grant, and they're going to be focusing on e-cigarettes, marijuana, and other drug prevention for the youth this year. They got a grant specifically for that. They did not last year request a donation from each city of $1,000. They usually request a $1,000 donation from every city, and they're asking for it again this year. What happens is we give them $1,000, and then they turn around and invest it into what they do for each city, so we get our money back in effect. And so they're asking if we'll do that this year as well. And if so, we'll put it on the next agenda, and they'll get us an invoice, and then we'd pass
It
the
is in the budget,
resolution.
right?
Did we budget
It is
that?
in the budget, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, I'm like,
I don't
didn't
think
see
we
it
passed
there.
it because they didn't do it last year. So I
Okay.
think that was an oversight for our budget. We are going to be doing a Guiding Good Choices class again. It's going to be in October. She got that on our calendar. It's going to be 5 Mondays in a row in October, starting on the 12th. That's a Monday. It was very well attended last year. The parents go, and then the last one, their children come as well, and they give them a whole bunch of food and a raffle. Then they're going to be doing a QPR class. That one is suicide prevention and awareness, which goes with our suicide prevention awareness that we've been trying to do this year. Then also, they're going to be working, the Western Weber CTC and the Fremont Hope Squad is going to be helping with the Mason's Bench raffle, preferably during their Fremont's homecoming. I think it's their homecoming in September. They're going to be working with us on that with the raffle, since all of the proceeds goes to their Hope Squad. We have not done that because the car show was not very well attended because of the weather. So we did not do that with the 4th of July. We let Colette do their raffle, and we're going to be doing the Mason's Bench separately in September, which is mental health and suicide prevention awareness. And then I'm the only one that bought any tickets, so there's $10 worth of tickets in there right now. So I've got that. And just me. Also, the 4th of July was amazing. The rodeo was so cute. It was the junior rodeo. We, as America 250, helped sponsor that, but Colette and Jody and all of the volunteers did absolutely wonderful on that. The concert was great. Everyone, the Lions Club, came out and did the concessions and supported that. There was just so many moving parts, and I wanted to say thank you. And to everyone that helped follow the firework guidelines and went to the designated spots. There were, I think the fireworks were even better because everyone was bringing their fireworks to one spot. So we got to see bigger shows. It was great. So thank you for everyone for staying safe out there.
Thank you, and thank you for all your work on 250. It's great, so, go ahead.
Just going to echo a bunch of things here. So the mayor's comments about the 4th of July, I'm not going to dabble into names because I don't want to get in trouble here, but Public Works, the recreation team, the admin team, everybody, if you've ever been a part of the 4th of July, whether it's on the staff level, the council level, or volunteers or anything, you know, it takes everybody to make it work. I'm not up here to brag about one or the other. I want to make sure everybody gets credit because it takes everybody, just like Phil and Rachel were saying there. The fire department, I will say, was awfully busy that night. I want to thank them personally. There was a structure fire that night they were called out to prior to the fireworks, and they were very professional and did a great job there, and then also was able to come back and put the show, or help watch the show to put it on for the residents. So thank you there. And then Dan has a few projects, switching gears a little bit, that's going on. 3600, I don't think it's going well. Dan knows more of the details. I'm not going to pretend like I know them all, but I know it started. It's all milled off, and it's dusty, right, with all the dry weather we've been having. And then also, I don't know where we're at on 22. They're going to pave that. Tomorrow. Okay. I knew I had the date, but I couldn't remember it, so thanks, Dan. And then 2600, they're doing the work there too, so we got quite a bit going on. And then all the other little areas with the developments going on too, but that's all I have to report.
You had a hire for your landfill as well, right?
Oh, that's right. I wasn't there. I wasn't able to attend, but yes, we have hired
Eric Snell.
Eric, what is it?
Snell.
Snell. Tells you how much I was involved there at the end. I couldn't attend the interview, so I apologize for that, but yep, we got to hire at the landfill as well.
Dan, you've got a stormwater audit coming up, right?
Yep.
I didn't mention that, Phil, because I like to ignore them because they're such a pain. No, I've been a part of 2 or 3 of them in my career.
So
And-
is Eric taking Chris's place?
What's that?
Is Eric,
So, as of right now, we have, I can't remember the dates, but I think Dawn is actually going to be gone prior to Chris, correct? Oh, Chris is done now? That's not, oh, that's not what I was told, so, tells you how, they kept going back and forth on that. It was supposed to be that Dawn was the middle of the month and Chris was the end, and now it's the opposite. So, yeah.
Okay, very good. Just a couple other things. Fireworks, we got the 24th coming up. There's 3 days there that people can light fireworks. Waiting for the governor to come up with the latest. I'm certain we'll see something next week. But it's my intention, if it's okay with you guys, to pretty much do the same thing we did for the 4th. We have designated areas and we approach it that way.
I think it worked
Yep.
well for the 4th.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Unless he bans it completely, yeah, yeah. Okay. No, I think everything else has been covered on my end, so I guess we will have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn and
Second.
enter into a work session, right?
Yeah. Got
I want a break, yes, please.
Okay, motion to enter into a work meeting following a brief break here.
Well, I guess I made the motion.
Second.
Yeah, she made the
Second,
motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I second it.
Perfect.
I think you
Everybody made the motion.
Here, Nick. Stacy, these are cute. I love it. It is so cute.
Did I sign those with a red pen?
You signed one of them.
Sorry about that. Okay.
My pop rocks go everywhere.
That's it there.
What you do to your arm there, Frank? Oh my gosh, my daughter said that same thing to me. I just looked at her and I'm like,
It's like I bump my skin and it goes, so I
Yep.
say it's old lady skin.
I got called Eleanor while I was with her. I still have that thing. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Ben.
Good. Busy, but good.
Yes, about the well, okay, I have been in Washington, and I literally drove. In?
On the 25th?
Oh, yeah, yeah, how much do I owe you?
Oh, you get to go to the meet great.
Okay, what do I owe you? I'm gonna Venmo you right now.
Oh, don't worry about it.
We'll figure it
get
out.
even.
Okay, and then I got your thing that says, when we gonna,
Yeah, I
okay,
just gotta.
we need to call the guy though, from the cruise, because,
What if I just come over to your house one day and
Okay.
we'll do it right then?
or I can
then
come
that
here.
I just
I
don't
know.
want to do it necessarily.
I've seen him before. I just can't remember.
I get you. Come on over.
How you been?
Just busy as me. I'm sorry, I should have had you in a meeting today. Oh, that's all right. I got a call right before we came up. You were saying, because I talked to the attorney today, and
Okay.
I sent my part.
Okay, I'll get all the information from you guys, because I've already looked it up. And you can actually, not going through him, but I think that he's the guy with Colony. So I can. But I'll get a hold of him between.
Okay.
This is making me drool. It's popping all over.
I just need to know by the 25th that we're signed up.
Yes, we
That's
do.
all I want to say, because I'm going to tell him,
Okay, so tell me this.
because he's going to go, I can't get rid of her.
No, he's not. Okay, are you going to wherever you're going on the 24th?
No,
Yes. I'm like going, I just drove by it. What's it called?
It's actually on the morning of the 25th, I'll be up there.
Okay,
Well,
so I'm
actually,
gonna
I might
swing
go-
by and pick you up on my way out.
No, I'm gonna come home.
Okay.
Because if I have to stay overnight there, there's not a shower, and I'm not gonna go stinking.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
You know, I showed up tonight going, huh, there's been a
So
bunch
my
of sweat
plan
going down my
is
back
get
today.
home. It's about an hour and a half drive, and
Yeah.
then but I've gotta find out when we've gotta be there.
Okay.
And I don't know that. I know they're not opening the gates until 5:30.
Okay.
So if we left at 3:30.
Yeah, or, 4, we'd be good.
Yeah, I just don't know how.
Busy it's gonna be, especially on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh heavens. It was. We,
Oh, I kind of figured I was.
it went over, all over hell.
It's effective now, yes.
But you're not worried unless it takes like a year plus,
Yes.
right? I'm sorry.
They really are popping. Uh-huh. Yep. Can you imagine? I can't drink that after 2 o'clock or I don't sleep. Yeah. I know. Or like, I do drink it when I'm on a long drive. Mm. Yes. Okay, what is your thought about this thing?
I don't know how. I've looked at it on like Google Maps. Never been out there. Besides on the road, like what you can see. I don't know how they're gonna do it.
I honestly don't know.
I've heard there's a bunch of places where you can't build anything. Well, and we talked about, he's like, oh, we'll bring dirt up. We'll bring.
It's gonna be Still Creek all over again. We're gonna run into that crazy stuff.
I
need 2 tables, so don't.
Bad. It's like the salt flats, but it's
worse. Yeah,
Yes,
yes.
it's weird. Yeah.
I
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna get. And when they said Farmington Station, I thought John was gonna jump off and beat their ass. I was like, it's coming whether we want it or not.
So, I hate to say this, a Farmington station would be good for the city.
I agree. But
Way out there is where
by Maverick,
No.
out of the woods.
The
love
city
your thoughts.
needs,
They do.
we have to have something because once all these houses are done, what the hell are we gonna do?
Yep, okay.
But we need,
I agree with you.
that's why well, that's not gonna bring in a lot. But having something like that out there would be awesome.
But do you think we should move that commission? I like the idea of
Unless you. Maybe we
We
have.
need something like that. Some of the minutes about the tax. I didn't have.
Sorry, walking in the way.
every year, then we're not a big.
Got this from Mike Hansen.
Yes, I did.
Gift cards and things like that. It's like,
Yeah,
I'm with you. And I like I said, out there,
And we're gonna do, that,
You know,
or doing it during the Christmas parade. I haven't decided yet. and we're gonna do an art contest.
It's kind of cool that it's throughout the year because the 4th just came.
I know.
All right, we better get started here. Planning Commission members, where are they at?
And then, yeah, that's when everyone,
There's 4 of them right here.
Where'd they go?
The 2 right here and then 2.
and the state is, doing stuff in the Capitol.
Yeah.
Like, there's like
Yeah, so we got 4 of them here.
Who knows when it's gonna be? Okay.
I think we need Daniel, our plan, is he here? Daniel, our planner?
Where'd he go? Did he just leave?
Dan Schuler, I think you should be up here. Mike? Okay. So where's the planning commission gonna be?
Well, there's
2 of
Josh.
them right here and then 2 of them.
Someone
There's
can sit-
Jared.
Oh, we
can
got
scooch
2 right, I missed you
Yeah,
guys. I
two.
You
got-
guys are here. I'm a,
Want to sit?
I didn't even see you guys, I was looking past you.
This
Okay.
mic will catch it.
I have to yell.
Yeah, and then we have him and Matt back there.
We just bring chairs up and have you like sit
Sit on
up
this side.
here or something? Yeah. Yeah.
Come sit by me.
It's a work meeting.
Next time we better have 4 tables and we all sit down there. But-
The other day it wasn't set. This is the office laptop. I had one of those cups like I spilled on.
All right, so we've already entered into the work meeting with Cole West here. If he talks loud, he probably can hear him. Can you guys hear him?
Closer to that mic.
I mean, I'd prefer to just sit at the table if that's easier.
That might be easier.
The only problem is the cord, can I maybe have you guys all, slide down? So just because the cord can't reach. I know, that's okay.
Was another one.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. What's that? No, there won't, no cat videos, I promise. No dogs, no animals of any kind, I promise.
All right, so this is a work meeting devoted to you, Cole West, this Pleasant Plains Development. So I'm going to go ahead and have you start if you'd like. Okay? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Just also wanted to acknowledge the letter that was sent earlier today that was entered into public record. Appreciated the opportunity to discuss that with staff and with the city attorney. And we also appreciate kind of coming to an understanding on that as it relates to the vested rights. I don't know if we want to discuss that a little bit. It didn't really come up in the public meeting. Is that something we should chat about, or are we okay?
I think we're okay to move forward. What we've agreed on is that as far as the application goes for the Cole West development, it's an application for a development agreement. The ordinance is for an application applies to application for rezones and overlay zones. So at this point, we're in a development agreement negotiating and drafting phase, and the ordinance did not apply to that.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we discussed that.
Yeah, so just so we all understand that, we can move forward on the application for development.
West development agreement will go according
So right now, it's following the development agreement ordinance, yes, which has the process for negotiating a development agreement. Rezone and overlay zones can be part of that development agreement, but that's not what the application is for.
asking is we have opened up the development agreement chapter for the planning commission to make changes to the development agreement. So he's asking, is it pertaining to what is written down now, or is it pertaining to when they come and
That's what's written now. Because they've submitted an application and paid their fees, they are vested in how the code applies to them today.
Doesn't that agreement though apply to some rezones?
It can, but we don't have that as part of the.
So what happens if the rezones become part of that agreement?
Well, if that's the case, we are still operating under the development agreement statute, and when those become a rezone, which they can, we are anticipating it's not going to happen before the general plan's update's completed anyway. So that's kind of the issue we were talking about, is these are gonna happen hand in hand. We're gonna process the development agreement, negotiate it. But as far as any approvals for rezones go, we're gonna have that happen together, not one before the other. So in our mind, as far as we've discussed it, we're gonna be talking about rezones, yes, negotiating rezones, yes. But the city council's approval of a rezone or overlay as part of their development agreement is not gonna happen within this timeframe. Because we're gonna be working on the general plan anyway.
Yeah, and just to confirm that, so what the conversation we had today was that the application was submitted prior to the ordinance coming in, so there's a vested right, obviously, to go through with our development agreement application process. And then the ordinance, even if we didn't have vested rights, applies to a different title of the municipal code, titles related to overlays and zoning changes. This is a different process under a different municipal code title for a development agreement. And that's a legislative process anyways. The development agreement only gets signed after approval from the city council, and a legislative process would basically move on that ordinance even if it applies. So we think we're okay to keep going through this. We do suspect that the city plan will probably be contemporaneous with this. Our goal is to have something that works for everybody, works with the general plan, doesn't conflict with that. So I think that's.
Yeah. And in order to make it work for the general plan, we need to have an amended general plan. And so the idea is to have the general plan amended, and then this will be lined up, ready to go in conformance with that plan. They should work together.
Yeah, the goal is, that they're done at the same time. Again, we want expediency with the amended general plan. We don't think it makes sense to have a development agreement that would then conflict with your amended general plan. We don't think it would work to have an amended general plan that conflicts with the development agreement. It's the same decision makers doing the same thing. The benefit I think the city has of negotiating a development agreement as part of this is they're also gonna get all the ads that you provide in the development agreement, things like parks and trails and fixes to your leaking sewer system and all of those things. So, yeah, I think it's gonna work great to go in alignment and continue to process them both simultaneously.
Any questions for me on that?
Thank you for the clarification.
I think that clarification was important for all of us to hear
Yeah.
together. Okay.
So with that, I mean, we really appreciate the time and the opportunity to get together with both council and members of the planning commission. This is likely, because of the way that these municipal processes work, this is likely the only way that a group like this can sort of convene in a work session like this to work through a process like this. And I think it's important for us, and I've enjoyed some of the conversations that we've been able to have with the mayor, and we also acknowledge, Councilmember Jenkins has also been very gracious with his time to kind of listen to what we've had to say on this, and I've appreciated the dialogue that we've been able to have. Certainly, there's things about what we've proposed that I think are maybe a little bit scary for the city, and I think we acknowledge that, we understand that, we see that. In some way, in many ways, we kind of expect that. We were actually doing the math earlier today on this, and this land area, this 1,500 acres, represents 20% of the city. So it's no small thing for a city like this to, undertake a process like this with, one large landowner on one piece of property that represents such a large portion of the city. So we acknowledge both the kind of the opportunity as we see it there to work with the city to, bring this process about. And we also recognize that there's a fair amount of trepidation around that that comes from the city, and we understand that. We're sympathetic to that, and really what we want to do is find a way. And I think really before we even dive into the plan itself, I'd really love to just kind of have a discussion with this group about a process for how we might bring forward a plan and bring forward a development agreement. And as we discussed kind of with the mayor and the city attorney, the purpose of a development agreement as we've drafted, what the purpose of that is really to put together something this big, right? So you have, a city has, codes, has ordinances, has, all sorts of tools that are at their disposal for how they govern how development happens in their city. And a lot of cities' processes are really not built for something like this. And so the development agreement avenue, as it's outlined currently in your chapter 9 of your code, is really for the outliers like this that don't fit into the mold of, okay, this is a shopping center, or this is a 100-unit residential development. This is really, something much more than that. It's really kind of we see it as kind of a generational opportunity for the city to really be a part of the planning of the rest of the city and how that plays out over the next 20 to 25 years, and really work with one landowner to mold that and to plan that and to build that system from the beginning all at once. And so I think, we really see it as a system, and certainly the legal and the public process needs to continue. That doesn't go away. It can't go away. It has to be part of what we do. But I think there's a great opportunity in a discussion in a meeting like this to sort of get a lot of the issues out on the table and discuss them over time. I don't think that what we're after today necessarily is some end date on when this gets done. What we're really looking for from the city is a partnership and momentum towards getting to a plan and getting to. And so I'll kind of just stop there for a second and just say, how does that sound? Are there any questions about that idea? I've kind of got in the next kind of slide here, I've kind of got a proposal for, well, okay, what might that process look like? But I just wanted to kind of get that out there and see what comments there are.
Let's see your next slide, and then I'll.
Well, and
Oh,
Cameron,
let's
and
see if
that's,
you got any other
I like that idea, but I just want to comment. I appreciate you bringing up that, a city like this has trepidation with, 20% of the city being proposed to be developed. But I'd like to add in, it's not only 20% of the city, that's area-wise, but population-wise or house-wise, this is going to be over double the size of Plain City. Yeah. Than what we currently have now. So yeah, I just want to add that point in there. There is trepidation
We're
here.
adding 20% to our city, but we're more than doubling our revenue.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, according to what city? And
Yes.
so,
We're doubling our density and only adding 20%.
right.
And we just had a general plan meeting where our residents said, we don't want that. Very, very clearly said, we don't want that.
I think, and I think we can talk about some of those things. So as we get into, I think where I wanted to go first was process. And if we want to talk about specifics of the plan, we can certainly do that. And answer maybe some of these questions and what some of these concerns are that But I think, this is kind of how I would see this working. So you've brought up some really good points, right? So we've talked about, what that means in terms of the size of the land area. We've talked about what that means in terms of the number of homes that would be added. We've certainly talked about what some of the public sentiment is. And I think we want to address all of those things through this plan. I think the other thing, to keep in mind with any of this is the voice that's not in the room tonight and probably won't be in the room for a lot of the meetings that we have are the future residents of Plain City, right? That some of those people might be your kids, might be your grandkids, might be you, as we all sort of age, as we get from, whatever life stage we're in today, as we advance into a new life stage, what our needs are for the type of, neighborhood we might want to live in, those things change. People get older, they don't want to walk upstairs anymore. They don't want to maintain a 1 acre lot anymore. Their needs change. We also know, if you've talked to anybody, if you know anybody who's in their 20s, and you've talked to them, they're probably more scared about how they're going to be able to buy a house someday than what this might mean for the city. So I guess through all of this, I would just ask you to keep those people in mind as well, because everybody has sort of a strongly held opinion about what they think the future could or should be, but we also need to think about how might that future benefit the future residents of Plain City, and how they may think about how they want to live that may be different than the way that folks are living today. So just something to think about.
So you've done research as to if we just followed our ordinance currently, how many homes you could get in there?
We've done that a little bit, sure.
How much?
I don't remember the number. Yeah. And I think if we were to follow the ordinance today, I think, and when we get into some of these details, I think there's some challenges with what that would mean for the city long term, what that would mean for the city in terms of traffic, in terms of the fiscal impacts to the city. So when we build, sort of large lot, exclusively large lot neighborhoods, every mile of road, every lineal foot of road, of curb and gutter, of sidewalk, of snow plowing that has to happen, all of those things cost the city money the more it spreads out. And so those are things I think that are important to keep in mind as well, as we think about all this process is, what does the future of the city's budget look like? What does the future of the city's tax base look like as it relates to commercial development? What happens a lot of times in cities that, sort of follow kind of a lot of these common zoning approaches is they export a lot of their tax dollars to other cities that are, maybe nearer to a freeway or something like that, where the commercial development wants to show up because they have the rooftops, right? And so, yes, housing is definitely part of the equation, but it's not the only part. And so I think through this, what we're asking the city to do is maybe not focus so much on, okay, what's the number, but think about this as a system, right? So think about this as a person. So what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to think about this at a master plan scale. And we want to think about this as we're creating the skeleton and the nerves and the bone structure for what the city will become someday. So as we think about public works, for example, as we think about commercial development being closer to where people live so that it's easier to get to the grocery store and they don't have to fight traffic, and we think about sizing sewer and water and roads and all of that infrastructure in a way to be able to handle a project like this, that's what a master plan is. That's what a master plan can do for a city. And so that approach, we think, is a better approach for how a city can plan their city, rather than thinking about it through the lens of, okay, here are zones, you know, bolt on each subdivision individually, and then we'll try to figure out how the bones and the nerves connect back together. Kind of like an orthopedic surgeon puts somebody back together after they've been in a car accident. I think that's not the way we'd like to approach this with you. So really that's, you know, designing the foundation first, trying to get to a bit of a vision around, you know, how can a master plan approach like this be a benefit to the city? I think it was you, maybe in one of our TRC meetings, that said, you know, we want givers, we don't want takers. Was that you? Okay, that stuck with me. And so, you know, a lot of the things that we're able to provide through a master plan approach like this are those services. So we've talked about, can I ask a really odd favor? Could I get somebody to go get me a cup of water? I'm dying here. And I really got to quit talking here in a minute. But providing for, you know, places for city services, whether that's fire stations, whether that's sewer treatment facilities, whether that's, you know, sizing the roads and the infrastructure to be able to handle something like this. A lot of times what happens when you're not able to look at your city holistically, right? When you're not able to look at it with a blank slate like that, what you end up doing is you sort of build those things as you go. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Yes, you're still building those things as you go, but we have a master plan that's set out from the beginning that becomes predictable, right? That the city can form a budget around, the city can form staffing around, the city can publish that, you know, once we get to it, and make every resident aware of this is it, this is what's happening, right? We don't have to wonder, you know, is that development down the road gonna bring in a bunch of, you know, apartments or something that I don't like, or is it gonna be this, or is it gonna be that? There's a level of predictability around how that growth can happen over time that then allows the city to just function and be a city and not worry about, you know, how are we gonna, you know, fix all these roads that we're not collecting enough tax dollars to fix, for example. So we really do see this as, you know, this is different. I hope I've sort of made that point. And so current, you know, zoning and all of that is in place, and those are good tools to have, and cities need to have those. I think what we're saying is we're not trying to say, let the developer just do whatever they want. I think what we're trying to say is work with the developer to develop a system for development that then can move forward as the city grows. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
A couple things here. So that I think are important as we think about that master plan too, and why. You may wonder too, well, why do they keep asking for that? Why are they pushing for that? Why is that so important? As Coal West, our agreement with the Jacksons is to, and we actually think this is the right way to do it, again, because we're able to master plan it. Our agreement with the Jacksons is to purchase the entire property from them in one fell swoop. So if any of you are business people, we need to be able to understand, you know, through this process with the city, what this development can be so that we can make smart decisions as it relates to that transaction with the Jackson family. So that's part of why we're asking to approach this process in a different way. Typical Euclidean zoning doesn't really allow for that. And so that's why that's important to us.
So that pretty much takes everything that the Jacksons has said over the last 6 months and throws it out the window. The thing that I've constantly heard is we've been a member of this community our whole lives. We've raised generations in this community. We want to develop our property to benefit the community. Well, once Jackson signs on that line, we just turned that property over to Coal West, who has exactly zero ties to our city, and now what's going to be your number one priority for this development?
It's going to be to work through the plan. It's going to be to work through the plan that we put together with you.
And now what makes Cole West's master plan, the ability to design this master plan, what makes that better than Mike's ability to design our general plan? When you say, with our general plan, you know, we gotta have this master plan, or, you know, when this surgeon's putting these bones back together, they're not gonna know what they're doing. Well, that's what we hired Mike for. Mike's gonna create our general plan, and whether it looks like what you want it to look like or not, that's what we're paying Mike to do. I'm just one person
No, it's a good
here,
question.
but I think a lot of people have opinions also. They might differ from mine, but I don't see your idea of what's going to benefit Plain City and my idea of what's going to benefit Plain City are two totally different things. When you mention that 70-year-old person that doesn't want to take care of that 1 acre lot anymore, my parents are in their late 70s taking care of 3 acres. When you talk about that 20-year-old that doesn't want to move in, you know, can't afford to move into Plain City, my 25-year-old daughter just built a house in Plain City. So everything that you've talked about is going against everything that I live.
Well, it isn't just you, though. That's the point, though. Be careful with that, because we're talking about Plain City here, not just Job Shableman's family, right?
The simple question was, how many people do you know in their 70s that want to take care of a 1 acre lot?
I know, but
How many people in their 20s can build a house in Plain City? My kids. Like, the question was directed individually.
Yeah.
My next point is, yeah, you want to look at the future of the Plain City residents, but at what cost of the quality of life for the current people of Plain
Sure.
City?
Sure.
We're talking 3,500 homes. You been out there?
Mm-hmm.
Not many roads going out there.
Mm-hmm.
What
Right.
are we how are we gonna get those 3,500 people in that northwest corner of Plain City out of that northwest corner of Plain City?
Yeah. We can talk about all of that. You're asking the right question. So let me come back to your first question. I think to his point and your point, you're both right.
Right.
Because the reality is any city is not one size fits all, right? There's people like yourself, and there's people like your daughter, and there's people like your parents. There's young people that just bought a house in Plain City, and there are 70-year-olds who love maintaining their lawn. That's true. But I think what I'm trying to say is, as any city grows and as the demographics and the people who live there change, people grow old, people get married, things happen, those things change. Not for everybody. You're right. There are some people who, you know, will go out there and rake their garden until the day they die. And there are 24-year-olds who are fortunate enough to be in a spot to buy a house, and that's great. I guess all I'm saying is that's not everybody. That's all.
So I think,
But I appreciate the comment.
I think to help Josh's point is that you said that not one size fits all.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the trepidation we have as members of Plain City is one size has fit all up until today. Mike can probably tell me the exact number, but I'd be willing to bet 90 to 95% of homes in Plain City are single-family homes, right? Single-family, more than 90%.
95's easy.
95% of homes in Plain City are single-family homes on more than a quarter-acre lot,
Yeah.
right? I mean, 11,000 square feet is the smallest zone that we have. And so when we talk about this, that's why a lot of us have
Yeah.
reservations. Is you are literally taking Plain City and dumping it upside down, and so you're going to have to put up with our shock factor for a little bit.
right.
Why do people move to Plain City?
And I think that's it.
People
right there.
move to Plain City to get away from the city. They want to get away. They want that rural feel. That's why they move to Plain City. Problem we have is people move to Plain City to get rid of that rural feel, or to have that rural feel, but then they want to turn Plain City into what they just left.
Yeah.
They
Does
hate
that-
cows.
does.
Well, I'm not going nowhere. You know, they might be okay with moving from West Haven to Plain City, and when Plain City turns into West Haven, they're gonna move north. I'm still here, I'm dealing with that. And my other problem is when we talk about this, you know, this master plan for the next 20, 25 years, however long we wanna do it. Who are we to make the decision for Plain City for the next 25 years, you know? How are we more qualified to
That's
decide?
exactly why we're on these committees.
The people who are sitting on our chairs 10 years from now.
Disagree with that statement.
That's a long
why we're
time.
on these.
Let me just, can I just comment on that? And I think these have all been valid points, I really do. But, you know, when I was elected mayor, I didn't expect to walk into, you know, a development like this. And, I mean, I just thought it'd be an easy 4 years and we'd get through it. But, you know, this is a big development, and it's you know, it is generational, I think. We have a property owner that has 1,500 plus acres. And so the question is, what role do I have in deciding what's going to happen in 25 years? That's why we're elected. You know, that's why we're appointed. We get to actually give our opinions on this. That's why we're doing a general plan. We actually get to make those decisions, and it's our obligation as leaders to make those decisions. If we say, hey, what right do I have? I'm no smarter than anybody else. That's very true in my case, you know? But I've been placed in this responsibility to make those kind of decisions. I have a feeling that no matter what we decide here, in 25 years, that piece of property is going to be developed. We have an opportunity to work with a single entity on 1,500 acres to do it right, to make sure that we have everything that we need, take care of our sewer system in the next 25 years, parks and recreation, you know, maybe we talk about public works building in this whole thing, you know. There's things that we can't do if we keep it on the same state. If we just keep doing subdivision after subdivision, we'll get 55% of proposed tax revenue off of a house. If we have some commercial in there, we get over 100, we get 100% of the tax. We can't continue on the same path for the next 25 years and have it work financially for the city. I mean, and I think it's a unique opportunity with Legacy, Davis Corridor coming in, hopefully, to kind of blend that together and start planning for the future.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying, and I respect that, but our ordinances are also written for, there's a 10-year cap on our development agreements for a reason. We're supposed to redo our general plan every 7 years for a reason. If we were supposed to make the decisions based on what's gonna happen in Plain City 30 years from now, then why do we have the 10-year cap on our development agreement? Why do we have to redo our general plan? Why didn't the guys 5 years ago just do our general plan and let it last 30?
Well, what are you going to do?
Things
Just sit back and do nothing about it?
Things
I mean,
change.
Yeah, things
I mean,
change.
it's that simple, right?
Develop it for the next 10 years.
Laws change.
Laws change, things change.
I don't think you can put a 10-year cap on planning. I just don't think you can do that.
Sure.
What
Right.
I see too is
Have to change that order.
that
Yeah.
I see, it almost looks like you're creating a separate entity, apart from Plain City, that can function on its own. Is that something that you guys had in mind?
No.
Okay. It just seems like you're getting all the infrastructure, all the guts, master planning wise that I see, that it could be.
That could be a whole nother.
And the reason I'm so.
I'm bringing this up is because we had a previous developer that was unwilling to work with us and worked with the county, and that was a very, it still is a very,
Contentious thing.
well,
It's still in the back of my head right this moment.
it gives a very bad taste in my mouth, and I don't want to see that happen again.
I think when you undertake a process like this, that's never something that you set out or want to do. And I guess the reason I reacted the way that I did is because this happens a lot of times when you bring something like this to a city. They're like, wow, this is like a whole other city. And it can feel that way, but it's not intended to be a whole other separate city. It's intended to build upon the city that you have. kind of come back to your question because I think that's right where I was going to go. People, and I understand that because this, this happens, this first one here is, I think, exactly what you're talking about. So we know that that is something that the people who live in Plain City today value and they care about. And so what we want to do through this plan is we absolutely want to be sensitive to that. And at some point when we get down into these details, I can show you what I mean by that and how that works. The short answer is we would propose to start with very low density homes that would be very similar to the homes that are here today. Why don't you believe me?
Because I seen phase one already.
Yeah.
Okay. And what'd you see?
And you
Not what
said,
you just spoke of.
and you said start with?
85 lots at 6,000 square feet. 10,000 lots at 72 lots.
And also the S-curve that he just mentioned, they kept selling it as being for low-income families. It's supposed to be affordable. And then they were smaller lots with big, expensive houses. That's not affordable. That's not attainable. That's not where the 20-year-olds can move in. You just made the small lots high density with big houses.
They're selling
That's-
for over 500,000.
That's not affordable.
So what this would do is, yes, there are some smaller lots in it. Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna build a lake.
I mean, I'll live there.
Okay. So what we've done here, and I didn't want to go this far into the weeds yet, but because you asked and because it's an important topic, let's go there. Okay. So what we did very intentionally in the planning of this is we're sensitive to the fact of what is, tell me your name again.
Yes, Josh.
We're sensitive to the fact of what Josh just said, which is people in Plain City like the rural character, they like the large lots, that's why they choose to live here. Okay, we see that, we understand that, it's a beautiful place to live. And so what we're proposing to start with and to line sort of up against where people are living today are these same very large lots that you see throughout Plain City today. And then yes, there are some smaller lots that are kind of buried and hidden in here. And I think that's I think when I come back to this idea of the system and the infrastructure, and so a question might be, well, why is that there? Why are you putting that in there? Fair question. This is kind of the conversation that you and I had, which is as a development of this size builds out over time, there are just things that need to be paid for, like roads, like sewer systems, like other types of infrastructure. And what happens with these large 1 acre lots, as much as we all love them, is how many of those sell, I didn't want to make this a real estate conversation, but how many of those sell in a given year, do you think?
As many as they develop.
Yeah,
Every lot over 20,000 square foot that's sold in Plain City, and I'll bet the last probably 5 years, there's been a waiting list wanting to purchase those lots.
Okay.
Even acre lots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the most common questions I get.
How fast do they sell?
Nope. I
There's
get
one
questions.
right there in Fremont Acres. Isn't it?
Well,
I'm talking over 20. Yeah.
So
They haven't even got the final on it. Look at Skeen stuff. Dustin subdivision. There was a waiting list on all those lots.
there is certainly a market for those. People will buy them. That's true. If there wasn't, I wouldn't put them on the map. Okay? What needs to happen in a development of this scale is if we're talking about bringing the types of community benefits that we're talking about, which we'll get into that here in a minute, but when we think about sewer treatment plants, places for, public works, parks, trails, fire stations, roads, all of those things that are part of a large master plan like this. I think the distinction might be when a lot of subdivisions that pop up that are building 1 acre lots, I don't think they're bringing you a lot of those things. And the reason for that is they can't, because they're putting all of their money into their roads and their infrastructure that is serving those lots, but they're not able to do it at this scale. And so there is a trade-off, right? And what we've tried to do here is we've tried to say, okay, we very much understand and want to respect the fact that people in Plain City like their large lots, and they don't necessarily want to be looking across the street at something small. We get that. We understand that.
I'm getting
So
a
we've
feel
been
for
very
air.
careful as we put this together to make sure that we're lining the edges of this where people live today, with similar types of homes that are just like the ones that you live in today. And yes, there are some smaller lots in there, but the reason that those things are in there is to be able to pay for this infrastructure, or to be able to pay for the roads, for the sewer system, for the sewer treatment plant, which are things that a typical 20, 30, 40 lot subdivision of large lots isn't able to do. They're there so that we can attract commercial development to your city. Commercial development doesn't come to places that only do small lots, because the pace of how quickly that builds out and how quickly you're able to surround where that shopping center is with customers simply doesn't come fast enough. And so the grocery store or the restaurant or the dentist's office, they choose to locate their business next to the freeway because that's where the traffic is or that's where the people is. Or they choose to locate their business in a place where they can put a pin on a map like this and say, I have whatever their number is, 10,000 people in a radius around my business to be. And so the reason that matters to the city, and it's hard in situations like this, if you're the mayor or you're the city council or your city staff, you're looking at that budget every single year and you're wanting to make sure that it's going to work into the future. If you're a resident or a constituent who just lives here, you want what you want, and you're not necessarily thinking about those things, and we can't really blame them for that per se, right? And so I think the mayor's comment is well taken. It is the obligation of the city council and the planning commission to be a steward for this community. And in some cases that might mean, hey, developer, don't build all this stuff, but in some cases it might also mean I got to think about my city's health, and I got to think about how my city is going to grow over time, because it will grow. It's going to happen. It just is. And I mean, I hate to sort of sound really, negative in some way, but growth is happening. If you look at all of the cities around you, that growth is happening. And sometimes that happens in an organized way, and sometimes it happens in a chaotic way. What we're suggesting to you is we're bringing you a way that can happen in an organized way and happen in a way where you have some say in it. And, Jared, I'm glad you brought up the subdivision that you mentioned, because that's the other way, unfortunately, that sometimes these things happen, is if it doesn't work with a city, then a developer goes and tries to work with the county, and you end up with what you didn't want anyway, and you didn't have any say in it.
Well, and in my experience is that the developer proposed a density and a quantity of lots that neither us nor Far West.
It was unincorporated
Yeah.
ground, so we didn't.
So what I'm concerned is, we see this amount here, and it is, I'm worried that that'll happen again with this one.
Yeah. I think good comments.
Can I say something about the amount?
Go ahead.
I think it's really easy to look at the denominator of how many residents you have today and how many you'd put on top of that and say, oh, we would double our population. The important thing here is the time that it takes, right? This is going to take 25 years, probably plus, to build out. And I think when you talk about legacy and stewardship and what's your role right now, preserving your rural character is important. We're asking for 2.3 units to the acre. 25 years from now, that's gonna feel really like it's a low density. It's not gonna feel like it's a high density. In fact, or a developer could be looking back 25 years in the future saying, why did we only entitle 3,500 units on this? So I think it's a great opportunity, if you wanna leave a legacy, to say this is a fair density. It's what is in the rest of your city, right? We could go look at subdivisions and see a comparable 2.5 units to the acre and kind of lock that in so that 25 years down the road, you're not saying, well, shoot, someone just entitled 6 or 10 to the acre.
So,
And I think why that's important, and this is kind of what I wanted to get to, and then I want to hear what you have to say, is it's important to remember how big this is and how many acres these 3,500 homes would be spread over. I mean, it's 1,500 acres. It's a really large area. And so what that allows us to do, Dan?
Question. So is that gonna change your density though, if that full 1,500 plus acres is not usable? Now you're gonna have to increase your density so you can get your number of rooftops in?
Dan, are you talking the floodplain and the?
Because I know there's a lot of wetland.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, and there might be some spaces out there that's like, hey, we cannot put homes
Yeah.
here.
So good question. So we are working through the wetlands process, and we are working through the floodplain process right now. Yes, we believe there's a few places where, in terms of wetlands, that would not be places that you can build, and so we would work those into the plan. I don't think they're going to be significant enough that it's going to have a big impact, though.
And a lot of those will be planned as natural open space or tie into parks and trails. Particularly along Dixie Creek, we know that there's going to be wetland issues.
It's still open space, though.
Yeah, but it's a trail system that's usable, right?
Yeah.
It's not just something that people look at, it's something that we can.
I mean, if it's wetlands, it's still open space.
That's right.
I mean,
we have to take into account it's gotta be buildable space to qualify as open space when we look at density issues on development.
And we can write that into the agreement.
Yeah, but on past development agreements, there's fields with thistle 12 feet tall, so I don't know how. But what I do want to say real quick, just to kind of throw my thoughts into this, is the mayor, Josh, everybody, kind of the balance. To me, it's sustainability, right? Ultimately, and we talked about 25 years. I think if you went back 25 years and did the math, Plain City's probably doubled in population in the past 25 years, I would guess. So that to me it is what it is. That's just growth, right? Now, I'm not arguing 35 homes or 10 million homes or 3 homes, but at the end of the day, I do agree with what the mayor's saying, and maybe some others have said. We got to look at this, and I do appreciate your partnership mentality. I know everybody gets nervous, the development, city, partnership, ooh, scary, but to me, we do have to look at that, because we're sitting up here, and I know every single one of us is worried about votes or whatever else, or just what the people want, which is great. But what I'm thinking about, I don't care about that. I care about sustainability. So what I'm getting at here is this might not get us votes if we put 1 or 2 more houses in what we think people want today, but I guarantee you they're going to be really pissed at this body in 10 or 20 years when you're doing a tax hike because you didn't put enough houses in to pay for the infrastructure, right? So to me, there's a balance there. I really think we do need to make sure we're open-minded. Now, again, I'm not going to go 3,500 homes or whatever. That'll all be through the process, as you've said several times. But we do have to look at the mathematics on all of this, and that's where I've been doing it for 22 years. I know what infrastructure costs. I know that every meeting we went to, as many conversations as I had with people saying, we don't want girls, we don't want more homes. I get it, neither does the rest of us. But you know what else they said? Probably 10 times more than that. I want a rec center. I want this. I want a 4th of July. We just talked about how we like the 4th of July. But we don't want taxes to increase. So It's a balance, and it goes back to what you said, Phil, like, it's not an easy position to be in. It really isn't, whether you're on the planning commission or an elected official or whatever the case may be. But I want to make sure that if we are going to move forward with anything to do with Co-West or any other developer, that we're looking at it from that standpoint, not just, I don't want any more houses in my backyard, I want 6 acre lots. That is not gonna work. You put whatever's, you asked the question, I don't know what it is zoned now, I was trying to look it up. If you put X amount of houses on what it's currently zoned, there's a good potential that, like I said, in 15 to 25 years, when you get done with that, you are increasing taxes a lot. Because the houses and the traffic that's gonna generate just at the zoning that it's at now, we are going to be raising taxes.
We are,
That's a guarantee.
no matter what.
So we gotta be careful there.
Then you see a situation like you have in Ogden Valley.
Exactly.
Where you've
Yep.
got,
And
yeah.
this isn't the first time I've said this. We just approved the what do they call it now? It's not the tentative budget anymore, it's the new process. Whatever, I'll just call it the tentative, what's that? No, just I'll call it the tentative budget. And I said in there, and Ryan, our finance guy, said there's potentially a tax increase coming already. I don't want to be the council member now or put that burden on anybody else in the future that has to be the 500% tax increase. Luigi actually brought that up in that meeting, and you just brought it up again. That ain't fair. So, again, back to your comment, Mayor, I want to be more responsible than that.
I agree.
And if that means we have to bring in a couple more homes or whatever the case may be, fine, but let's do it as a partnership and do it right. And there are going to be some growing pains. There are going to be some struggles. There are going to be some back and forth where some tempers flare up. And that's fine. If you don't expect that in this process, you shouldn't be in this business,
And we're
right?
gonna ask for concessions from you.
Right. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Appreciate that. I think, just to round out, kind of this rural character thing, I think we understand that, we get it, we understand the pushback against growth. What we're trying to do is balance those emotions with what Mr. Famero has just articulated so well, which is there's give and take, there's trade-off, and there's, things that we need to be thinking about as it relates to growth. So a couple other things there too. Really, as Logan, pointed out, this really is, because it's such a large area, I know 3,500 sounds like a big number. When you spread it over 1,500 acres, that becomes 2.3 units or 2.3 homes per acre, which is basically, half-acre lots.
Commercial land.
It would, yes. And so I think what's important to remember there, I was going to get to some other slides here. So since we were on the topic, one thing that I did is I wanted to put this to the test. So I drove around Plain City last week. And so I wasn't able to catalog the entire city, right? And so any city has different densities to it, right? There's older parts of Plain City that are, 5-acre lots and farms, and it's great and it's wonderful. But as we think about what's sustainable moving forward, those types of housing types and densities really won't be sustainable for any city moving forward. And so one thing that I noticed when I was driving around, so this is I tried to look at maybe more recent, more modern parts of the city. So this is a project that's located, or a neighborhood that's located about 3,000 West Plain City. All I did on Google Earth is I drew a ring around the development there. It's about almost 55 acres and 125 homes, 2.28. So on average, as we think about, what will this place on average look and feel like? Yes, there'll be denser areas to it and there'll be less denser areas to it. That's why it's an average. But on average, that's 2.28 acres in Plain City. Jed and I had a lively conversation about this neighborhood. So I was curious. So I went and looked at this.
Yeah, I told you to be careful bringing up this one. I told you.
waiting.
And you know, there's some good things that they did here, and there's maybe some things that you don't like. But that's on average, again, on average, that's denser than what we're proposing. Steel Creek is. So I wanted to get that out there, because these are places that you know, that you've driven through, they're part of your community. There's places in Plain City that are denser.
But if we take away your 300 acres.
Well, I think the difference there is, I think the difference there is how much land that takes up, right? The commercial takes up 300 acres where homes would not take up that much. As we think about the denser homes that would be here, what's interesting about that and the distance of where that is townhomes, apartments, things like that, they take up so much less land than these larger homes that the impact of that is very, very different in a positive way. They actually produce more tax dollars per acre than what large lots do. Commercial.
Also produce more users, which is why.
More people
That's
on
why,
the road.
when I said you, I'm talking about people, not amenities. Amenities are important, and I think commercial is important.
Yeah.
In something this big, we need to have that.
Yeah.
But when we talk about givers and takers, when we have townhomes and apartments, we usually provide takers, people who want extra amenities. So that's
I don't need the
that's what
park,
Josh
I've got
is
a
saying.
backyard. You live in a townhome, now you need somewhere to walk your dog. Now you need somewhere to exercise.
That's a good idea. We have to, and we don't want to raise taxes because of the commercial out there. And when it first came,
Great, let's do it.
I think we proposed a donation for fire station land.
Yep, it's on the list.
Well, since you brought up Still Creek,
Please.
how do we keep you one developer instead of selling it off to another developer who changes their mind on what they're going to do and the amenities that they're going to provide and the order?
We talked about
Yeah.
this, Ken.
I'm glad you brought that up, thank you. So again, I'm gonna come back, I'll come back to this. So the discussion that Jed and I had, so Jared in one of the first TRC meetings said, it's not our job to make the developer money. Do you remember saying that? I agree. So my ask is then, we'll worry about that. The ask would be, what this does for us as a developer is this helps us manage the risks that come in development so that we can manage against exactly what you're talking about. If we're able to sell different types of homes to different types of people at different budgets throughout a development over time, that's what makes a business function, right? Is when they're able to stay in business, essentially. So I said to Jed, I said, we're not asking you to figure out how to make us money. We're simply asking you to provide us with the amount of flexibility we need to not go broke and so that we can deliver all of the things that we're gonna put in this development agreement with you, that we're committing to deliver. The only way we're able to do that is if we have a mix of housing at a mix of budgets that sell to a lot of different people. Because as much as people love their 1 acre lots, and they do, and they're wonderful, that's this much of the housing market in terms of people who buy houses. And we wanna be able to think about the entire spectrum of people who buy homes, because that's what's going to make this work. That's what's going to keep a developer in business. That's what's going to allow a developer to give you parks, streets, fire stations, all of these things that we're talking about, because we're able to make it work and make it function. So I'm glad you asked the question, and it's a great one. And
So if you do go broke, the development agreement's null and void.
I think that depends on how that takes place.
Well, as of right now, that's what it says. If you sell more than a percentage of it, then it would be null and void. So.
And I think there's a state code that says that the development agreement doesn't follow the lay of the land. The development agreement is between the city and the developer.
Yeah.
So we're not, if road.
Yeah, I think it depends on how the development agreement is crafted or written.
So how
I don't
long would it take you for build out phase one? The way phase one looks right
Yeah.
now, just phase one, how long are we looking?
It's probably at least 4 years.
So the 4 years that we're waiting for phase one to get built out, once it's built out, we just put 323 homes into the city, which is 323 families with kids into our recreation programs, into our schools. Where do we put those? Our parks are full. We have one of the greatest recreation departments in the county. We're running out of room. I don't see any of that 323 acres. I don't see any public amenity. I don't see any. If I was to look at that like a residential overlay, which would allow that kind of density, now we're looking at 20 to 30% public amenities in that development. If we just look at it as a vision, I don't see anything as far as where those kids play, where those kids play sports, where do we fit those in our recreation department? I see none of that.
Great question. So the parks, we've talked about delivering, the land area here is a little bit wonky in terms of how it's shaped. So our plan would be to deliver within the first 5 years, we would deliver a park.
First 5 years.
Yeah. So as we think
Where is
about,
that on this phase then?
it's not in phase one as it's designed today.
Can I speak to that a little bit? We didn't draw it on here, but we are planning a Dixie Creek Trail that does connect into the rail trail. And our thought is to have it kind of as a ribbon throughout the whole development that ties all the neighborhood together and ties a series of parks. So we can get into kind of zoom out and see where we would put parks, but it's an important consideration, right? Do we build a ton of little parks, or do we kind of pool our dollars and build something really cool in a couple different places?
And we talked about this in the meeting, instead of the little pocket parks. I think we've all kind of discussed this and we agree we'd rather regional parks more than pocket parks. Yeah, it looks like everybody's, yeah.
Residential overlays that we've passed have provided more than 20% of their property has been granted as open space. So that's pretty significant that we require an overlay. So it's something to consider, in the development agreement.
To directly answer your question.
That's where we're currently planning it.
But
And who wouldn't want to play baseball next to the sewer ponds?
It's better than living next to it.
We'll turn it into a park because we can't sell houses there.
But this is also the beauty of this process is that phase one isn't necessarily locked in place. Could we pop some parks in there? Sure. But back to Logan's point and back to some of the things that we've said, there's this trade-off question of, do you do a bunch of little tiny pocket parks, or do you do sort of one big regional park? I think what we heard is we want a regional park, and so we said, okay, we'll put one in there. So we did.
An all abilities park.
Yes. We can do that. I've looked at those.
Another thing that I see too is, you said there's a mixture, but I see a clear separation between your lot sizes in this phase one.
In phase one?
I would much rather see, like, talk about those 6,000 square foot lots. I'd like to see those more divided out throughout that whole phase.
Instead of just on the edge?
One big concentration of what is it, 100 and some odd. And that goes for the 10,000 square foot lots as well. I mean, I like to see them together, but not to the scale that I'm seeing.
Yeah, and I think personally, I'm not a planner by profession, but I've studied lots of master plans around the country. That would be my preference as well. I think the planners that did this, the reason they did that is it was all about creating the buffer.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
Right.
What do you think of that?
Essentially hiding what.
Buffer.
Yes.
Yep. Buffer.
Yes.
That's what was talked about a couple years ago.
And if it's such a great development, there's no need to hide it.
But what I see happening though is you'd get a separation of based on lot sizes. So you'd have live in those 6,000 square foot lots get separated socially.
Yeah,
economically.
yeah.
We don't disagree.
We don't disagree. I think
And
that's an easy change.
That's a big concern that I see happening.
Great
When we
point.
talk about down the road, I'd like to see that worked in a little bit.
Love it.
That's interesting.
When we talk about infrastructure, we've got all of those houses on the S-curve. We'd be having all of these houses here. How does the county work with building new schools? Because this would be a whole plot of land. Would this be something they might consider putting a school on? I don't know how
I
the,
think that's part of the discussion you guys are
I
having.
don't know how the county considers where to put schools, or this would be a prime spot that they could consider.
We've actually already had pretty detailed conversations with Weber County School District. We've identified a site for them for an elementary school. It's an ongoing conversation, but we've met with school districts as well as the church, the LDS church, to figure out a future chapel site.
That's good you've already had those conversations, but really, it's hard to plan ahead for that because the school districts are always kind of reactive instead of
And
proactive,
the LDS church is reactive too.
which is reactive as well.
They haven't done a thing with it.
Very reactive.
What's interesting about that too, again, I keep coming back to the systems approach here, is what we can do, because these school districts do these fairly detailed analyses of their growth. What we can do, and what we frankly have done with them, is to say, okay, how many students do you have now? How many schools do you have now? What's your growth projection? If we build X number of houses and we build them, it's math, right? We build them at this pace. When do you think you're going to need a school? And they can say, and it's all estimates, of course, but they can say, we think we're going to need a school in 5 years. And so we can go, great. The way that we've thought through our plan and our development, and the way that we've come to an agreement with the city about what that's going to look like and how that's going to grow, we know roughly where we're going to be in 5 years, right? And so we can say the school's going to be right there, or at least in that general vicinity. And then we get to an agreement with the school district on what that is. And the other thing we can do with that, when we have, again, the blank slate that's this big, is schools, one of their biggest expenses is busing.
Yep.
Right? So we can put the school smack dab in the middle of the neighborhood, build all the houses around it, and we've just saved the school district $100,000 a year because now half those kids can walk.
Cameron, I don't want to beat the dead horse, but you had a slide up that showed things that you don't get without a master plan, right? And like everything you're talking about, it hits me like you don't get a big regional park if you have 15 developers doing this. You don't get that school plan if you have
Right.
15 developers doing that. Like that, that's the benefit, because it really does need to be a two-way street, right? Like
It
the
is.
benefit for us is certainty, so that we feel comfortable making an investment into this type of property. And the benefit for you is the structure and the planning and the schools and the parks and all of the things that this slide shows you don't get if it's done piecemeal.
Yeah, and to your comment on givers and takers, right? Like, responsible development is, we get something, we get an entitlement, and we give, right? And this is kind of our outline of what we're trying to give. We're hoping that it's an exchange, right? Where I think developers have gotten into trouble, and we all know who they are and their projects, is when they're just takers, right? They just want the density, and they're not willing to give back to the community. They're not willing to do the infrastructure upgrades or study it or plan it thoughtfully. So we fully understand that.
Once again, I just want to be clear, I'm talking about people, I'm not
No,
talking
I
about
get it,
city
but-
versus developer, because we want to entice the people to move here, because in 20 years, I want my kids to still want to live in Plain City. I don't want them to be, I need to move to Malad or to wherever to get away from what we've allowed to have happen, and so that's why we're talking here we are. I think you guys are on the right path with them to be work with us and stuff, but ultimately it comes down to, what do we want to leave our kids so that they want to stay in Plain City in 20 years, like what Adam said, you know, like, and what the mayor said. We know it's going to happen. That's why we're scared. That's why every one of us, you said we're emotional. Every one of us is emotional because
For sure.
in 25 years, yeah, I want my kid to live close to me because he's going to have to come mow my lawn on my 3 acres.
And mine, and mine.
I'm still living on my 3
And mine. Yeah.
We all know you're gonna have goats too.
Well, they'll be on Mars,
What
right?
we don't wanna have happen though is people are moving out to Plain City because they want that rural feel. We don't want in 25 years for people to start moving out because that rural.
It feels like Salt Lake.
Now they're moving to Malad or to wherever to get that rural feel again. I don't.
But once, so say we sit down, we get a development agreement done. At that point, do you guys have a map that we're gonna look at, and we're gonna know exactly what this development is going to look like at that point? Because when I read through your first draft of your development agreement, it pretty much says, we get 300 acres of commercial, we get 3,500 rooftops, and we get the freedom to put that wherever we want, whenever we want, and however we want. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So at that point, now the city doesn't have any control over that $1,500 development, and we're not working together at that point. You're doing whatever you want. We've signed our kids' lives away for the next 25 years, and you see what I'm saying?
I do. So what we have in that agreement is a few things, and we can really dig into the, I'm conscious of time.
Yeah.
So
It's just time.
I don't know about you. It's about my bedtime.
Let me answer his question because it's a very important one. So what we've built into this agreement, what we're asking for is what we think is necessary to make this work. What we've written into that agreement initially, and by the way, there's a conversation that happens where we work through what that agreement ultimately is, okay? I think we know that, but I'm just making the point again. What we've put into that agreement is that there are sort of maximums on the, especially as it relates to the higher density housing. We've built into that agreement a way that there can be maximums around how many units of a certain type can get built, so whether that's apartments or whether that's townhomes. There will be maximums. The reason why we're asking for flexibility to be able to move that around a bit is because markets change. Housing, what sells one year doesn't necessarily sell well the next year. And back to sort of the fiscal conversation and the, hey, what happens if this goes broke and the developer has to bail? When it's so locked down that you have the entire thing designed out to every single lot, like that sort of preliminary phase one, it won't work. And what'll happen 5 and 10 years from now is the developer's coming back in to ask for changes because it's so tight and it's so locked down that they can't make it work, which means they can't deliver the services that you're looking for. And also, we've talked about, well, gosh, we don't know what's going to happen in 25 years. And to a degree, you're right. And that's why that's built in there. So that there's an ability to sort of say, okay, well, we didn't think that there would be flying cars and people wanting to put a landing pad on their roof. We didn't think about that 25 years ago. So there's aspects of that where if you can build the right framework that allows for flexibility and certain things to change, not everything, but certain things to flex and change with markets and changes in the way people live, the way people buy things and all of that, then it functions and then it works.
The flexibility benefits both parties though, right? And that's one thing we all need to understand. Like Josh, I get it, because at first I was thinking, man, you kind of, but when it's 30, 20, flexibility is good for the city too, right?
As long as we retain some sort of.
Control.
Well, that's what he was saying.
Not control, but yeah.
No, it is control. It is control, yeah.
I seen maximums on there, but I didn't see any minimums. And when I add up all of your maximums, it exceeds that 3,500 number by quite a bit. Now, granted, it's been a long time since I've seen this. So what's to stop you from, okay, our maximum is 3,500 rooftops, or however we want to look at it. But we can have 2,500 duplexes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't want 2,500 duplexes. Now we have
Reduce it.
zero of the 18,000.
I don't like duplexes. John liked them, I don't like
somewhat larger lots. There is no minimum, okay, 3,500 lots, but 700 of them have to be 15,000 square foot lots. You see, like, I don't have a lot agree, but when I read that first
I don't either.
development agreement,
I don't either.
you know, common sense says, this does not favor the city one bit. It gives the developer open reign to do whatever they want over the next 25 years.
Well, and I think we've thought about it as a budget. You know, we know what a budget is, right? If you spend all your wad on one thing, you've spent your wad, right? Would it ever make sense? Let's take the example of the 2,500 duplexes. The problem for a developer, if a developer tried to go in and build 2,500 duplexes of the same thing, it would take more than 25 years to sell all of those. Because there's only so many people in the world that are buying a duplex.
Yeah, but in 10 years from now, the demand changes, and now everybody wants to buy a duplex and move out of Hartman City. Well, we still got 1,500 rooftops that we can build. Let's put all them into duplexes. Now we just ruined the north end of Plain City, but we still stayed under that
I guess I would say,
3,500 max.
is that possible? I guess. Is it likely? Probably not.
Well, I would like something in there that protects the city a little bit more than probably not.
I think it's a fair comment, right? And I think the table may not be anywhere near where it ends up. I don't know. I don't even remember how we broke it out, right? But 2,500 duplexes, I think we can all agree, if we have 3,500 units, that's not reasonable, and that number should be changed.
I think these are the types of things that we would hope to get some feedback on from, and have that be something maybe that you have your city planner and your city attorney work together on and say, okay, we heard a comment from a planning commissioner about that.
Yep.
How can we then maybe take that table and change it?
Yep.
Great, let's do that. That's the type of conversation that I think we want to have. I think, Quinn brought up a really good point, which is as we think about the types of units and the density and the other aspect of this flexibility, and that is, this road, the future West Weber corridor. Did I get that right? So we've affectionately referred to this area here as the amoeba because it's kind of this weird shape. And it's that way because we still don't know what the final alignment is from UDOT about that road. And so part of the reason why we wrote the agreement the way that we did and why we kind of put together that table is because this area here that we're calling the mixed-use zone or a village center may need to shift in terms of its shape based on what the final alignment of that road is. That's the alignment that we think makes the most sense, that we would like to see. We don't get to make that decision. You don't get to make that decision. UDOT makes that decision. Now, back to the master plan approach for a minute as it relates to that road.
Can I make a comment real quick about that? I've said this before. We don't get to make that decision, but if we plan for it, it forces their hand a little bit more than if we don't. I've seen that in another community.
You just made my point for me.
Well, I worked for a community that happened in, and I've mentioned it before.
You have, and you're right.
That was I only said 22, that was about 18 years ago. No, I was just saying it.
Our hope would be that once we know what that alignment is, then it's a little bit easier for us to get a little more specific around some of these things.
Can I ask a question about that? Because we've talked about the length of the development agreement, possibly 10 years, possibly 25 years. You have rights, whatever. We've talked about that. Just answer my question, and I'm not saying this, but what is it a possibility, or is there any logic into doing 2 development agreements? And my point is, you say the commercial, we have to have a certain circle around with a number of people in it to be able to have enough people for the commercial to come, right? Say that again. We have to have enough people in a circle to get enough people to come to the commercial development.
Yep.
Okay? None of us know when that corridor is gonna come through. We know it's not gonna be in 10 years. It could be 12 years. I'm not saying it's not in the immediate future. But instead of granting all of that
What
in
happens in
advance.
the meantime?
No, I'm just saying, like, is it possible to say, hey, we know what you're doing and we think it's a good idea, but in order to protect ourselves, and I'm just asking about possibilities and feasibilities, is it possible to split it up? Because I don't think there's any, I shouldn't say that, but I'll speak the majority of Plain City, if that road drives through there, when it does, and we know that it's on paper and it's in pen instead of pencil, I don't think most people would ever have a problem with this idea.
No.
Yeah.
Separated according to like residential and commercial?
Commercial.
Or phase one and a phase two. I'm not saying, I don't know how to say it. I'm just saying. Here's development agreement for the first 500 acres, and then when the road comes in, now we develop the next 1,000. Because to just say 300 acres, and then all of a sudden, this is way out there exaggerating, you decide, well, with all these other small homes, we're gonna build 12 and a half acres of storage sheds, because you can make a gajillion dollars building storage sheds. We've given that unilateral power to you, or to, just as hypothetical.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So my question is that a feasible option in a sense to, and I use the word protect, which is more than what I mean, but to protect the city from selling their future, and once again, control is a strong word, involvement, is something like that a possibility or even feasible to where we can work with you and we can have some plans, and then in 5, 7, 8, I don't know whatever years it is, we can continue that relationship and we can nail that down to a closer. Am I offline? Is there anyone that's got?
Interesting idea.
It is an interesting idea. I never thought of that, but
That road is projected to go through is in 2050. That is in 24 years. If you are 90% complete with your development in the 25 years that it's going to, or say your development lasts 25 years, okay? How many homes are we gonna have in the northwest corner of Plain City prior to that road being
Yeah, good question. I think there's a couple ways we could address that. So the other thing that we've thought about, short answer is, I don't know yet. But I think there's a couple ways that we could think about that. The road too is not, this is a road, and it is it's planned for the West Weber corridor. It may not happen for a really long time. When we think about the infrastructure and roads that are needed to serve something like this, what we would need to do to make that work is build some sort of an interim road, right? And so the other part of this, and the planners in the room know this, is part of this entire process would be a traffic study, right? Where the traffic engineers figure out, okay, if you're gonna do this many homes and this many businesses, and you got a school and you got a whatever and a church, what is the traffic demand going to be? We then size the roads to accommodate all of that. And so and I've seen this done, and it's done all over the place. If you go look at Mountain View Corridor in Salt Lake County, it was done this way, where it was built just as first it was one lane going in either direction. As growth happened, it got extended to 2 lanes in either direction. The next step of that road is it actually gets built in the middle. If you've driven down it, you've got roads on either side, and then a big piece that's empty in the middle. Well, that's for the future freeway.
But we don't own those roads. Plain City does not own any road that leaves Plain City.
No, you don't.
The state owns the road.
Correct.
The county's road's the road. Far West owns
Correct.
the road. So we're putting in this development, and the traffic study says 4,000's gotta be doubled in size. Well, who's gonna pay for that? Is the state going to?
Wasatch Front Regional, Josh, that's what Wasatch Front Regional Council is, that I sit on the board there.
I agree.
Yeah.
So at what point would they expand that road, or?
Well,
Center Street?
it are, honestly, that all goes back to planning and making sure we're paying attention and watching. Yeah.
Possibility of splitting it up, because are we out planning our plan? And that's what I'm scared of.
And they can't widen that.
Are we jumping out too far in advance? Without, like you're saying, we gotta give you a little bit to get the benefits or the amenities, and that's kind of where I'm asking it back, is that if we give you a little bit, we need to get our amenities. We need some roads, we need some access, or whatever it may be, or even if our amenity is to protect ourselves from the explosion where we outbuild
think the problem with that,
And that's what I'm asking for.
it dilutes our ability. And so as we think about the road as an example, it dilutes our ability to go to UDOT and say, this project is approved for this many units. And to your question about how does the road get built, who owns it? Yes, the state would own it. What we would do is we would go into the city.
I'm not talking about that road though. I'm talking about the existing roads.
I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. So we would go to the state and say, because when the state builds these freeways, they have to go and they have to buy all that land from 500 different landowners. They often have to condemn people's houses and kick them out of there, which we don't want to have happen, right? So we have then the ability to talk with UDOT and negotiate with UDOT and say, this road's important for you, it's important for the people of Plain City, it's important for this project. How would you like to deal with one landowner to get that much road that gets people back to the freeway? If it's broken up, we can't do that. Even if it's broken up into 2 development agreements, that gets harder, that gets more dilutive.
I think the other reason it makes it hard to do the 2 development agreements goes back to the idea of reliance on our side, right? Because we're being asked to buy the whole thing, and if we can only get some kind of assurance on half of it, then it doesn't. It's not a good business decision. We can't do it. To cast it in another way, it would be like us saying to the city, well, what if we only agree to do half of the developments now, so we can make it financially viable, and then if it turns out we got money in the bank, we'll do the other half, right? We would never say that, but to us it has a similar impact, right? Like, I don't know that we could do the deal if we're only certain that we can build half of it.
Well, and I also think that actually, because at first, Gary, when you said that, we were over here thinking about, to me, when you have the whole thing in one, on our side, as far as Josh's question, it actually helps with the planning for the city and the county and Wasatch Front Regional Council, because now you have a plan and you know what's gonna go there. Sure, there's gonna be some negotiations, I get that throughout time, with the changes that you guys were talking about a minute ago, which I think made Gary a little bit nervous or whatever, but you're pretty close to what you're gonna have, so you can start getting the funding to build the roads that Josh is talking about that are further to.
I think that's what it comes down to is feasibility of time.
Right.
You know, like, that's why I'm asking is because can we get a guaranteed, and I'm not saying guaranteed, can there be language to explain, hey, we're not gonna outbuild can we set an expectation of what they can't outbuild until we have what's necessary? Because
The economy's gonna drive that, which if the
Center Street 4 feet, and that's gonna solve all of our problems.
Right. So for me on that, and there's a lot that goes into what I'm about to say. That's why you're nervous about it. The economy's gonna drive that. If the economy drives their growth in this development, you're gonna be able to, the economy will also be driving the funding that's gonna be building the roads to get to this development. If not, the whole state isn't doing a good job, right? The way we're building and taxing and everything else.
I think a fundamental piece of the development agreement, to answer your question too, is we would have to build into it that basically says we have to build the infrastructure to support the development that we want to do.
Well, that goes back.
That's what I'm afraid of. My parents have lived in the same home for 50 years, and for 17 of those 50 years, the state has promised they're gonna buy their house to widen the road and
Yeah.
the interchange. For 17 years, and it's only gotten worse every single day. And so that's why I bring it up as a legitimate concern, because we're 17 years into a plan that was gonna be then, and so.
I think we're into a bigger problem though, is that on the existing roads it's gonna be difficult to widen those roads out there because there are ditch banks.
Yes.
Functioning ditch banks on the side of those roadways.
Me, that makes it easier. It's pipe. I'd rather pipe a ditch than tear a house down, to your point, but
These are all things we can keep talking
But
about.
you
We'll
can
talk to you
possibly,
guys
yes,
all night long,
but
but we have.
the ditches are actually good because it gives you the frontage.
Is we wanna see not hard, we wanna see good ideas instead of, conceptual is awesome because we gotta talk about it in the first place, but, you know, I still gotta drive to Smith Edwards on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And even with 340 homes, it's gonna make it hard to drive to Smith Edwards on Saturdays.
What if Smith and Edwards is here? Just kidding. Just kidding.
It used to be everybody wants a Costco and a Trader Joe's. Here
Yeah,
they want
the Smith and Edwards.
Once,
I think maybe to just put a finer point on what Adam's saying
was that one?
For the infrastructure improvements
infrastructure.
outside of the development or the.
That's just,
System improvements.
yeah, that's just a reference to state statute on if for other developers, say for example, Riker, you know, he has developed,
I know what
if
you're
he needs to utilize the system, it's, as I'm sure you're trying to. But it's part of state statute that he has to pay for it, right? Pay for the upsizing.
It's the opposite of an impact fee, where you're basically paying for it after the fact, because you guys build it ahead of time. And they're paying for the capacity, rather than paying for the impact fee to build it. Happens all the time.
Okay, so it's, in a sense, it's an upsizing for our convenience. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I mean,
They're building it to upsize, so if they build it at a 10-inch, they only need a 10-inch for their development, but we need a 14 for the development just below that. They build 4 extra inches, that's what the new developer, whoever it is, buys into. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. We do the same thing, yeah.
Right.
But as far as roads, I just never dealt with the roads where.
It saves your road being torn up, and it's a smart thing to do.
So in the same vein, can we say that about our sewer treatment plant?
Yeah.
I mean, you're doubling the size of Plain City, you're doubling the impact on that sewer treatment plant.
Well, I think
and-
they proposed building one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
And
Wasn't,
piecemealing that is not gonna work. I'm sorry, that piecemealing the sewer treatment plant, trying to make that one worse for twice as many people is not gonna happen.
It'd get us pretty close, and the point of this is 25 years.
Right, and the state's really not gonna like our lagoons by then. They hate them now, they're gonna hate them worse then. Exactly. So why I'm bringing it up, it's gonna be a mechanical system, which is gonna cost a lot of money. So can we somehow do that?
Prices in wastewater treatment have just gone straight up. And it's not all my fault, I swear.
all that commission, man.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not just sewer, it's wood.
I don't know if we're wrapping up or anything like that, but from what I see,
Yes, we are.
yeah, from what I see on your plan, it feels to me that your plan is
Right
still
now.
more in favor of your developer rather than with regards to density and with regards to amenities. And I think we're gonna need to do some work on that, as well as, you know, we had Mike do a review of that agreement, and he spelled out some big concerns.
Give you credit on that.
Yeah,
good.
that was very.
Get a round of applause for Mike.
Yeah, let's all do that. No, but
We'll wait.
that's one thing that I would like to, yeah, the city is right now wringing their hands and the developers wringing their hands. Nobody can really say yes or no until the question firms up a little bit more. So this ongoing conversation and the process though does need to, I mean, I've been to a couple of these meetings and these are good conversations, but I don't know if you guys were gonna go there or if I missed that part, but is there a mechanism? Like, is this the way we wanna keep doing it, just conversations, or do you guys need stuff back in writing?
I think I'd like Logan and Quinn to weigh in, but I think a little bit of both. I mean, I would love for your review. Has everybody on the council and planning commission seen that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I think it's multifaceted. I think I'd love for the city attorney to look at the development agreement. I'd love for your suggestions to come back as red lines to a development agreement. So, I mean, what I would propose is that, you know, the two of you and Daniel work together and go through what you came up with and say, okay, the developer gave us a development agreement on April 1st and we haven't responded yet, let's respond, right? You've got a very talented planner here who's good looking as well, who's given you some insights into what he sees because he sees these things all over the state. I think we would love to have some of those things come back as red lines to that agreement. I don't know, Logan, Quinn, am I
I think that's great.
off base?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we'd love to keep having these meetings, and we will keep having them. We want to get your feedback incorporated in whatever work product comes out of this, but it is important to build momentum, right? And get it on paper and start to see, Jared has some grievances with it. How can we address those, right? Like, what actually are the words that need to go on the paper?
So I think let's continue to schedule meetings like this. Let's get some red lines on the agreement. I think Jared and maybe others have ideas about things they'd like to see differently or changed or whatever. Give us a list. Send me a list of what those things are, and we can look at that, and then maybe we bring that back to a meeting and discuss it.
Okay.
How long are your Christmas lists, Mary? Yeah, they might need to know that before you.
Absolutely.
I mean, with the agreement, I think it should come through legal. I mean, we'll have input on that, and you need to.
Typically, that's how it's done, right? Is city staff kind of distill the thoughts of all the elected officials and interface.
That's what I'm thinking too, is we can have a committee that is made up of city staff to prepare something that reflects the city's
Needs.
I like that.
Just to try and accommodate all the different opinions in the room and come up with some, maybe options or some new draft that can kind of move that needle closer to a compromise between everybody. I think it's going to require a smaller group. Don't forget that. And my suggestion would be Daniel, myself, you can have Mike there as well, Quinn, and maybe one more representative from your group.
I think
So some kind of committee.
Have a planning commission member and probably a member from city council.
And
Absolutely,
probably
but obviously the larger that gets, the
the
harder
more red lines.
to negotiate, so.
And ultimately, this has to come back to you as the elected officials before it ever becomes official, so you guys have the final say.
Well, and I've been quiet this whole time because I'm listening. But I appreciate you coming to us for input. I've worked with developers before, and they just like to railroad their way into making money, and so this is very nice on my end. So.
Great, we think so too.
To speak to that, so the person that started this whole process was Ken Jackson.
Yeah.
My grandpa.
Mm-hmm. Ken and Linda.
Lynn's dad, yeah.
Yep, know them well.
Process almost 20 years ago
Mm-hmm.
with Jed's dad.
Yeah.
And his vision was, we have a blank canvas out there, 1,500 acres. Let's get the city together and us together and work together to come up with something.
Nice.
So us as Jacksons are very happy to be working with Cole West because they have that same approach and that same vision.
You picked a good one.
Do you think your grandpa would be looking at anything like that?
Well, 20 years ago was a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, you know. Yeah.
Every time something comes to Plain City, Maverick, Kent's, everybody is mad and
Oh,
upset.
so mad.
When it's done, everybody loves it. My parents, they did not want Maverick.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody probably sees my dad at
Your
Maverick.
dad's over there every
I was
day.
gonna say your dad's there every time I'm there.
In fact, when he's not there, I'm worried.
But
Go to his
the
door,
city,
Mike.
Plain City needs a development like this because in 20 years, if we don't have anything,
We're gonna be in trouble.
yes.
Yeah,
As much as
I agree.
a lot of people don't want to see this,
They'll love
I'd
it.
rather see it here where it's at out there because something's coming. no
Well, and the
matter
best
what.
place to put it is next to a freeway.
Yeah. All the houses.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, an idea, someone's mad.
Maverick was a convenience to the current residents of the community. Kent's was a convenience to the current residents of the community.
But nobody wanted it.
Yeah, I did think his point was that
nobody wanted it,
embrace it.
but when it's
Yeah.
here now, everybody's happy.
So, well, look, I think we've accomplished a lot here today. I think this committee idea is a good way to get started. You guys want some feedback on that developer agreement, and that's yeah.
We didn't mention Daniel, but he should be on that committee too, right?
Daniel should definitely be.
I don't think anybody mentioned
Yeah.
it.
So let's put that committee together on our end and get you guys some feedback, and then we have a basis to continue discussions, okay?
Mayor, would you
Yeah.
like to make the decision on the committee members? I don't know if I just made a suggestion. I don't want to be the,
Okay, give me your suggestion again. It was you, Mike,
well, I'm open to suggestions, but I was
it's you and
thinking
Mike
Mike and Daniel,
and Daniel.
and then Jared
Jared,
mentioned
'cause
one
he's the
person from the planning commission, one person.
I'm wondering if you guys can do the first round, and then we bring in 2 other committee members for the second round. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
And obviously, that'll include as well Quinn. Sure, but we have time to negotiate, and that's, the idea is this is going to be a fluid process. Not just me, but and try to kind of wrap up everything that's been said,
Yeah.
all the different perspectives
I
we
mean, I
have.
just don't know, we gotta start from somewhere, and I think this is as good a place, you know, and after this is done, then it's gonna come to the body, you know?
We need to add Dan.
And Daniel would be on that.
Oh,
too.
Dan.
And Dan,
What you could do, I think it's hard to get anywhere when it's big, but what you could do is write down all of your concerns and hand them
Hand them
to
to-
whoever the representative is from the planning commission on that.
No, and I agree, that's what I'm saying, I'd like to see one of each.
Great, yeah.
Where it goes to Daniel.
Daniel,
That's right.
all
City staff,
concerns.
acts out the requests of the councils, right?
Yep.
That's their job.
Sounds good. Yeah, we don't have a lot of city staff, so we're.
so, yeah, agreement on the committee, I would say you two, Daniel, and Dan. And do we wanna have our planning commission on there as well, and a council member?
To you.
Okay, let's do that, these two. Well,
I don't know, Jeff.
you're on planning commission, you have time to be involved in that?
Sure.
Could be Adam too.
You want 2 council members on there, or just 1?
I don't know. Let me think about it. I don't know. Question.
You're gonna have the same.
We're gonna have the same problem.
And that's what I worry about, is too many people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna have a meeting like you have tonight, everybody's got an opinion, and you don't really.
I think first round ought to be these 2, Daniel and Dan.
Staff.
I agree with what everybody said.
Oh, come on, you can't do that. You can't.
Yeah, let's get our stuff to Daniel.
I like this side of it.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Second.
Meeting's adjourned.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, yeah, yes. I don't know.
Yeah, we had a motion.
We had a motion. Yep. It was Luigi. He agreed with everything.
What everybody